Chapter 593. These two women were like two peaches. One was a honey peach, soft and soft. The other was a crisp peach, crunchy when bitten. But the two peaches were equally sweet. Why don't I eat both peaches together? Yang Dingtian lifted the veils of the two brides. The faces of the two women seemed to have been steamed by wine. They were bright red and tender. One was gentle and gorgeous, the other was shrewish and pretty. Yang Dingtian caressed Ning Roer's face and said with a smile, "Sister Roer, haven't you always despised little Ning Ning for being disobedient? Then let's have another obedient one today." Ning Roer blushed even more at Yang Dingtian's words. She had indeed been thinking about this day, but when this day arrived, she felt incomparably shy. It was also her first time getting married. Muliani said, "You guys despise little Ning Ning for being disobedient, but I like it the most. It would be even better if it was a boy, so I want to give birth to a boy as smart and mischievous as little Ning Ning." The next morning, Yang Dingtian reluctantly left the warm and fragrant bed. Last night, he had really spent the most absurd and also the sweetest night in history. Of course, he only slept for 2 hours. Yang Dingtian came to the outer room alone and immediately saw the boiling hot bath prepared by Hong Xiu. After she took a bath, Hong Xiu went forward to help her put on her clothes. Yang Dingtian bent down and kissed his wife goodbye. Then, he went to say goodbye to his master's wife. Because Bao Bao woke up early, his master's wife also woke up early. At this moment, she was carrying Bao Bao to see Yu. Yang Dingtian took Bao Bao and kissed his little face fiercely. Then, he asked, "Where's master?" She said, "He set off before dawn. The matters of the Heavenly Edict Academy's establishment are very busy." Yang Dingtian saw that his master's wife was brimming with an incomparably happy light from inside out. It seemed that his master's return had brought her great joy. Little sister, little sister." After being in Yang Dingtian's arms for a while, the baby began to squirm restlessly, wanting to find his little sister to play with. The mistress took the baby and said softly, "Little sister is still sleeping. When she wakes up, we'll go and play with her, okay? Big sister, big sister." Bao Bao pointed to the other side where little Ning Ning lived. "Little sister has already gone out for her morning exercise. We'll look for her to play in the afternoon, okay?" The master's wife said, "Let's play with Mouse, okay?" Just as she said that, the golden squirrel ran over with a whoosh and smiled obsequiously. "No, let's play with the snake." Bao Bao pointed at the tree hole in the distance. Immediately, the big green snake inside fled at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the bushes without a trace. Although there were snacks to eat when playing with the baby would bite. After being bitten by his baby teeth, it would be difficult for him to shed his skin in the future. "Mistress, I'll be going then," Yang Dingtian said. "Well, you're going to the Snow Clan so far away. Do you want your master or city lord Qin to go with you?" the master's wife asked. "I'll take Xiao Xiao with me. There won't be any danger," Yang Dingtian said. "Then be careful on the way," the master's wife said. Yang Dingtian gently hugged Bao Bao and the master's wife and then left. The master's wife's eyes were a little hot. She was reluctant to let Yang Dingtian leave. However, Bao Bao was a little heartless. He didn't care that his father was going on a long journey. He still pointed at the tree hole and shouted, "Snake, snake, snake!" The big green snake hid in the bushes and didn't dare to move for fear of being discovered. However, the golden squirrel ran over very obsequiously, grabbed its tail, and pulled it out alive. This big green snake was a 6th-grade demonic beast. Its strength was more than a few thousand kilograms. However, the golden squirrel was able to pull it out by force. Then, the big green snake, which was as thick as a thigh, was painfully ridden by Bao Bao as they swam around. It wanted to cry but had no tears. "I'm a snake, not a horse. Moreover, I'm clearly a very ferocious and terrifying demonic beast. Why are you forcing me to become a pet?" Woo 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 woo, when Yang Dingtian walked to Cloud Castle. Little Ning Ning and hundreds of children under the age of 10 were running in a line up on the steep mountain. These children were all enlighteners and were at the peak of chi refinement. The little girl's eyes were very sharp. Others didn't notice it, but she noticed Yang Dingtian from afar. "Daddy!" She didn't leave the group. She only shouted sweetly at Yang Dingtian from afar. However, she was very obedient and didn't shout. She just mouthed it. Yang Dingtian waved at her. Little Ningning blew him a kiss. No one knew who taught her to do that. Then, under the guidance of the tutor, the group of children still lined up neatly and ran on the steep mountain peak to practice chi refinement. What a scene full of vigor and vitality! Yang Dingtian and Xiao Xiao rode 2 demon vultures to the south. The demon vultures flew over the entire northwest continent, and then over the sea for thousands of miles before arriving at the southwest continent. It had been nearly 2 years since Yang Dingtian left the southwest continent. It had been more than half a year since the Council of Light developed the southwest continent. Now, the entire southwest continent had changed greatly. The 3 major cities of the southwest continent had also taken shape. However, the more obvious change was that there were obviously more people in the southwest continent. Previously, there were only 3 million people registered. After the Council of Light's land policy was released, countless people came out of the dense forests and came down from the mountains. More than a month ago, there were more than 10 million people. Now, more than a month had passed, and the population of the southwest continent was still increasing rapidly. The entire southwest continent was about 7 million square kilometers. There were more mountains than flat land. However, in terms of geographical environment, it was better than the northwest continent. It hadn't suffered much damage. There were forests, lakes, and rivers everywhere. It was very suitable for living. The most obvious change was that villages and even towns had sprung up on the southwest continent like bamboo shoots after the rain. In the past, one might not even see a house in the southwest continent if one ran 100 to 200 miles. But now, there were houses everywhere, and there was smoke everywhere. There were also countless fields that had been cultivated. If there wasn't enough flat land, terrace fields would be cultivated. Even the first batch of crops had been planted for a long time. Therefore, the entire southwest continent was full of vitality. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with happiness and satisfaction. If not for the Council of Light, the millions of people below would still be living in the mountains, living like savages. Previously, the southwest continent had been filled with brutal castles that crazily captured the people in the mountains, and made them the lowest slaves. Now, the evil forces in the southwest continent had been completely wiped out. Hundreds of thousands of first-line troops and close to 1 million second-line troops had entered and restored absolute order in the southwest continent. Therefore, the southwest continent was becoming more and more a paradise. However, it was still very difficult to protect this fruit of victory. Once the Demon King was revived, it would mean the beginning of a world-ending war. The Legion of Doom would be like locusts from hell, destroying everything in this world. Yang Dingtian continued to fly south and reached the end of the southwest continent. Below him was the Mu clan docks. It was the home of Mu Lianqing and Mu Lianyi. Yang Dingtian had also stayed here for a period of time. However, the Mu clan docks was nowhere to be seen. A brand new city had been erected by the seaside. This city was later renamed to Sinanlin City. The construction of this city was only half a year away and the entire construction wasn't completed yet. There were still hundreds of thousands of people working hard. Close to 200,000 soldiers were garrisoned around the city. In the future, the Southwest Lin City region would have 300,000 first-line troops garrisoned there. This place would have the second largest port in the western continent. This was because it was the closest to the Earth-splitting city, the Cloud Sky Pavilion, and even the central continent. It was a straight line. In the future, this place would also become the headquarters of the Southwest Fleet. It would focus on defending the Netherworld Sea. Looking down, there was a huge city with a radius of dozens of miles. There were countless people and countless soldiers who were training in an orderly manner. It was a magnificent and lively scene. Yang Dingtian didn't land to interrupt this scene. Instead, he continued to fly south, south, and south. After a few thousand miles, Yang Dingtian saw a familiar golden beach. Below this sea was the Netherworld Sea. This world's most powerful, most mysterious, and most transcendent force. However, at this moment, the beach and the sea were still completely silent. Yang Dingtian didn't land and continued to fly south. On the way, there was a vast sea with occasional deserted islands. 10,000 miles. 20,000 miles. 30,000 miles. 40,000 miles. At this moment, he was already close to 60,000 miles away from the cloud sky city. In front of him was still the boundless sea. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian had an urge to fly south, and south. To see if there was an end to this world? The southernmost land was more than 80,000 miles away from the central continent. It was regarded as the southern end of the chaotic world. The eastern cloud continent was regarded as the eastern end of the chaotic world. The world of ice and snow was regarded as the northern end of the chaotic world. The westernmost region west of the taboo continent was regarded as the western end of the chaotic world. However, no one in this world had ever seen the true end of the world. There was also no such thing as walking in one direction and returning to the starting point. However, the chaotic world should have an end after all. Then where was this end? Keep going south. After a full 4 days, he was already more than 80,000 miles away from the cloud sky city. Yang Dingtian continued to fly 8,000 miles south. This place was still the boundless sea. Subsequently, Yang Dingtian changed his direction and flew towards the east. After flying for 10,000 miles, the situation of the sea suddenly changed. The sky here was no longer blue, but completely dark. The sea here was no longer blue, but dark. The sea here was no longer calm. There were heaven-shaking waves, heaven-shaking whirlpools, and heaven-shaking lightning everywhere. As far as the eye could see, there was lightning and thunder everywhere, and there was a downpour everywhere. Occasionally, there would be a huge sea demon swimming past like an island. The entire southernmost continent was surrounded by this extremely dangerous and terrifying sea. Therefore, other than the Ning clan, no one could find a safe route. Even the route in the air was extremely dangerous. However, Xiao Xiao, who was beside him, was obviously excited. It was restless and wanted to jump into the sea several times. Because this was its home. Here, it was the absolute overlord of the 10,000 miles of sea. Yang Dingtian said to Xiao Xiao, "After a while I'll let you go home, okay?" Xiao Xiao immediately nodded vigorously. Yang Dingtian's demon eagle flew 10,000 meters above the ground, avoiding the monstrous waves and whirlpools, as well as the shocking lightning and sea beasts. After flying for another 10,000 miles, the sea here began to gradually calm down. Then, more and more icebergs floated on the sea. In the end, the entire sea had gradually solidified. In the end, there was no sea. There was ice and snow everywhere. Here, it was a world of ice and snow. In the north, there was a world of ice and snow. In the south, there was also a world of ice and snow. Between the two worlds of ice and snow, there was about 130,000 miles. On Earth, there was a South Pole and a North Pole, which were the north and south ends of the Earth, respectively. The distance from the South Pole to the North Pole was about 40,000 miles. After entering the world of ice and snow, there was only one color in the entire world, and that was white. Everywhere in sight, there was ice and snow, and it was boundless. Yang Dingtian enjoyed it very much because when he came to this world, everything he saw was a world of ice and snow, so he felt very familiar with it. As for Xiao Xiao, it was obviously uneasy and began to feel manic. As they continued to go deeper into the world of ice and snow, the temperature was getting lower and lower. Probably it was already a few dozen degrees below zero. Yang Dingtian and Xiao Xiao did not feel cold. However, the other demon eagle felt that it was very difficult to endure. Yang Dingtian had no choice but to feed them fiery red elixirs. After flying for another 4,000 miles, they suddenly saw a vast snowy mountain. Almost every one of the incomparably huge snowy mountains was 10,000 meters above the ground. Countless snowy mountains stretched up and down, and it was extremely spectacular. After flying for 2,000 miles into the depths of the snowy mountains, suddenly, the sun suddenly shone down. An incomparably beautiful and dazzling scenery was instantly imprinted in Yang Dingtian's eyes. Yang Dingtian had seen the headquarters of many forces, gorgeous, bizarre, mysterious, and spectacular, far beyond the imagination of the Earth era. However, after seeing the scenery in front of him, Yang Dingtian did not hesitate to list it as the most beautiful city in the world. Peace City was made of gold, and everywhere was golden. And the Snow City in front of him was a city made of blue ice. At the peak of the mountain, there stood an incomparably huge city of blue ice. It spanned dozens of miles, huge and magnificent city walls, gorgeous and magnificent castle, every inch of it was made of blue ice. Yang Dingtian had never seen such a gorgeous city. Even the dim-witted Xiao Xiao was shocked by the beautiful scenery. At this moment, dozens of snowy white figures suddenly flew out of the Ice City. "Who are you? Why are you trespassing into the territory of the Snow Tribe?" Yang Dingtian said loudly. "The leader of the Tiando League, the leader of the Council of Light, the leader of Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian, is here to pay a visit to the king of the Snow Tribe." Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Because the chapter had been modified, but to maintain the original word count, I had to use this paragraph to fill in the gaps. Sorry. Chapter 594. After entering the city, Yang Dingtian finally understood. It turned out that every member of the Snow clan was very beautiful, regardless of their gender. Everyone's eyes were big and deep. Everyone's skin was as white as snow. Yang Dingtian originally had a concept of the snow race, which was that they were just like the Eskimos. They lived in caves or wooden houses on the snow mountain, and their bodies were wrapped in thick animal skins. Now it seemed that this was completely wrong. They also had a beautiful city and a beautiful life. Yang Dingtian also had a misunderstanding. He thought that the Snow clan was small in number, at most a few thousand or 10,000 people. But after entering the Snow clan's royal city, although the streets were not crowded, there were definitely a lot of people. There were at least 100 or 200,000 people living in this huge city. After entering the city, Yang Dingtian almost entered a sea of handsome men and beautiful women. As far as his eyes could see, the men were slender and handsome, while the women were graceful and beautiful. Moreover, all of them were exotic in style. In terms of women, the skin of the Snow clan's women was whiter and smoother than the fairest white people on earth. Their eyes were deeper and more mesmerizing than Persians. Their figures were more charming than Eastern European women and Middle Eastern beauties. The dress of the women here was very interesting. In the outside world, the Snow clan's women were wrapped up tightly. But here, every woman showed a beautiful face. It was as if it didn't matter if the Snow clan's women's beauty was seen by their own people, but they must not let the men of the outside world see it. Moreover, the Snow clan would never marry outside, except for the princesses of the royal family. That was why the marriage between Wu Maji and the Ning clan was arranged. Even though the temperature was a few degrees below zero, the women here were all wearing thin clothes, trying to show off their graceful curves. Moreover, her enchanting waist was also exposed to the air, and there was a gem embedded in her belly button. They were said to be wearing revealing clothes, but the collars of their clothes were made of expensive demon fur. It was not so much for warmth, but for decoration. Anyone from the outside world who came in would probably be mesmerized by her beauty. After entering the city, Yang Dingtian became the ugliest man without a doubt. Of course, Xiao Xiao was the ugliest girl no matter where she went. Moreover, Yang Dingtian also attracted the attention of everyone, especially the women on the street. They all looked at Yang Dingtian, pointed at Yang Dingtian and whispered, "Look, look, that man is so ugly, yeah. I've never seen such an ugly man before. Come and see, there is a very, very ugly man here." Then, more and more women came to watch Yang Dingtian. Every single one of them was a one-in-a-million beauty in the outside world. Yang Dingtian wanted to cry but had no tears. Whether it was on Earth or the chaotic continent, although he wasn't considered very handsome, he definitely wasn't ugly. He was still a little handsome. But now, he had become an ugly man that everyone was looking at. After a long walk, they finally arrived at the Snow Clan's palace. The person who received Yang Dingtian was not the Snow Clan's king, but the third in command of the Snow Clan, the lord of the royal city, Serene. He was also from the royal clan and was the younger brother of the Snow Clan's king. He was also a handsome man who made people want to kill themselves. He was already in his 50s, but he looked less than 30 at most. Moreover, when he stood, he was as straight as a javelin, proud and arrogant. "Nice to meet you, Sir Yang Dingtian." Serene bowed. Thinking about it, Yang Dingtian could be considered as the most respected person in the Primal Chaos continent. But Serene's attitude was extremely reserved and even had a hint of arrogance. For some reason, the Snow Clan always had a sense of superiority and arrogance when facing outsiders. Yang Dingtian finally understood why Wu Maji had such a high status in the Ning clan, and why she had always looked down on Ning Ruo. So she really had married into the Ning clan. "Nice to meet you, Sir Moore," Yang Dingtian said. "May I ask if the Snow Clan's king has time to see me?" Serene smiled and said, "I'm sorry, our king is meeting another distinguished guest." Yang Dingtian's eyes jumped. Another guest was being received by the Snow Clan's king? Didn't that mean his status was higher than Yang Dingtian's? Although Yang Dingtian didn't care about status, was there anyone in the chaotic world who had a higher status than Yang Dingtian? Other than Wu Yu, Wu Lingzi, Nihility Piaoling, Wen Tian, and a few others, everyone else's status was at most on par with Yang Dingtian. Now, the Snow Clan's king was personally receiving another guest, and had sent the third in command to receive him. The second in command didn't even come out. Didn't that mean Yang Dingtian's status was 2 whole levels lower than that guest's? "In that case, I'd like to see Wu Maji," Yang Dingtian said. "Sir, why do you want to see my niece, Princess Wu?" Serene asked. "I'm here to deliver some gifts on behalf of Ning Wuming," Yang Dingtian said. Instantly, Cyril Moore's eyes narrowed slightly as he said, "All right then, please follow me. But I can't guarantee that Princess Wu will see you." Then, Serene led Yang Dingtian out of the palace. After many twists and turns, they arrived at a courtyard. The walls of this courtyard were still covered in thick ice. Opening the door, instantly, a warm breeze hit him in the face. The inside of this courtyard was a completely different world. There was lush green grass, bright red flowers, and flowing water. In the boundless mountain, Masteress's courtyard was a warm paradise. But now, in this world of ice and snow, Wu Maji's courtyard was even more beautiful and precious. If Mistress's little paradise was described as Eastern style on Earth, then Wu Maji's courtyard was Western style. There were large lawns, neatly trimmed ornamental trees and gardens, and a milky white castle. As the princess of the Snow Clan, Wu Maji lived here. Right now, dozens of beautiful maids were busy in the courtyard. Some were mowing the lawn, while others were trimming the flowers. Some were cleaning the white jade floor, while others were cleaning the sculptures. Yang Dingtian was very familiar with the prettiest girls among them, because they had once had a night of pleasure with Yang Dingtian. Wu Maji was such a crazy woman that she even dragged her personal maid onto the bed on the night of their wedding night. Before they entered the courtyard, a blonde beauty in a silver dress came up to them and said gently, "Sir, how may I help you? This is Yang Dingtian of Sky City. He's here to visit Princess Wu," Serene said. "Yes, I see." The blonde beauty quickly glanced at Yang Dingtian and said, "I'll bring Sir Yang Dingtian in. Please make yourself at home." Serene left right away. He didn't even take half a step into Wu Maji's courtyard. "Sir Yang Dingtian, this way please," the blonde beauty said gently and led the way. This woman was very tall. She wasn't any shorter than Yang Dingtian. She was wearing a silver silk dress, which made her body look even more voluptuous. With her long blonde hair, snow-white skin, and blue eyes, she looked like Snow White. As she walked in front, the curves of her back and her swaying posture were incomparably beautiful. She was Wu Maji's female housekeeper, Naya. She had once served Yang Dingtian intimately with the other female servants. "Naya, how's your princess?" Yang Dingtian asked. She's fine," Naya said. "When you see her, just pretend that she's talking to you." "I am not sure. How are you? Did everything go well when you left Peace City?" Yang Dingtian asked. "We're fine. Thank you," Naya said gently. Soon, all the beautiful maids in the courtyard recognized Yang Dingtian. Some of them looked at him shyly, while others secretly pointed at him. Instantly, Yang Dingtian felt even more pressured than when he was surrounded by countless beauties on the streets. The girls here were even prettier than the beauties on the streets. After entering the milky white castle, Naya fell a few steps behind Yang Dingtian and walked side by side. Are you okay? I heard that you were in big trouble a while ago," Naya asked gently. To Naya and the others, they didn't care about the difference between Yang Dingtian and Ning Fu. They only knew that Yang Dingtian was their only male master. "That trouble is over. We've completely defeated Xu Qizhu," Yang Dingtian said. "That's good." Naya boldly glanced at Yang Dingtian. Her eyes were filled with shyness and boldness. "There are guests from the Snow clan today. Do you know who they are?" Yang Dingtian asked. "It should be Wu Yuming and his wife. They might do something bad to you. You have to be careful," Naya said. "Don't worry," Yang Dingtian said. "Let's go this way." Naya led Yang Dingtian up the stairs and said, "The princess's room is on the highest floor of the castle." Then Naya looked at him and said, "How long are you going to stay this time?" "Perhaps I won't be able to stay for long," Yang Dingtian replied. "Oh." Naya's beautiful eyes showed a little disappointment. They came to the top floor. At the end of the soft carpet was a magnificent door with golden carvings. Naya led Yang Dingtian to the door. At that moment, a familiar voice came from inside. It was Vulture. "Sister, your belly is so big and pointy. I'm sure you're going to have a boy," Vulture said. "I think so. Anyway, he's very naughty. My belly hurts every time he kicks me," Wu Maji said in a gentle voice that she had never used before. "That's great. After he's born, he'll be the joint master of the Snow clan and the Ning clan," Vulture said. "By the way, Sister Wu, after your baby is born, my husband and I will take him as our godson. What do you think?" Yang Dingtian's face turned cold. "My son will take Wu Yuming as his godfather? Dream on." Wu Maji fell silent. "Hey, don't tell me you don't want to," Vulture said coquettishly. "If worse comes to worse, my husband and I will take you as our godmother when we have a baby. What do you think?" "That's great." Wu Maji smiled. "Then it's a deal," Vulture said. "After this baby is born, he'll be my husband's godson." Wu Maji smiled but didn't say anything. "Sister, I have something to tell you. Ning Wuming is dead. He was killed by Yang Dingtian." Vulture said. Wu Maji said. Sister, Ning Wuming should be the person who loves you the most in this world, Vulture said. No, the man who loves me the most is Ning Hua, Wu Maji said coldly. Ning Wuming tried to kill my husband. He deserved to die. Then let's not talk about this anymore, Vulture said. By the way, sister, the list of all the spies in Zhongzhou and the evil spirits they cultivated is under Ning Wuming's control. Now that he's dead, do you know where the list is? Yang Dingtian's eyes narrowed. Wu Yuming really wanted the list of spies and evil ways. It's not me who wants it, it's my husband, Vulture said. You know that I don't care about these things. But my husband said that if this name list were to fall into Yang Dingtian's hands, everyone on the name list would definitely be killed. There might be tens of thousands of people on the list. Although these people are from evil ways, many of them have never done anything evil in their lives. Many of them are innocent. If they were all killed, it would be too cruel. So my husband wants to get the list and find these people. Then, he'll erase part of their memories with spiritual power and put them on a remote island for them to live. Your husband is indeed benevolent and righteous, Wu Maji said, but only Ning Wuming has this list. I don't know about it. Now that he's dead, no one knows. Just like the list of spies in the West Continent, it's all in Qin Chichi's hands. Even Ning Wuming doesn't know about it. Sister, you have to know that there are tens of thousands of people on the list. Many of them are weak women like us. If they fall into Yang Dingtian's hands, he'll kill them all in order to control the Central Continent, just like what he did in the West Continent. Vulture said, You're saving countless lives. I want to save them too, Wu Maji said, but I really don't know. Vulture said, Did Ning Wuming give you any meaningful gifts? At this moment, Naya's face turned cold. She knocked on the door and said, Princess. Wu Maji said coldly, Naya, didn't I tell you? I'm having a private conversation with Madame Wu. Don't let anyone disturb us. Someone important is here to see you, Naya said, and then opened the door. It seemed that Naya was important to Wu Maji. She could be half of her family. There was also another person. Naya was on Yang Dingtian's side. She interrupted Vulture to ask for something from Wu Maji. After the golden door opened, the two pairs of eyes behind the door looked straight at Yang Dingtian. One was Vulture, and the other was Wu Maji. Vulture was stunned at first, but her gaze became complicated. Finally, her complicated and awkward expression turned into a faint smile. She said to Yang Dingtian, Hello, City Lord Yang. Vulture, hello, Yang Dingtian said. Vulture said, I haven't congratulated you yet. City Lord Yang has won again. You used the scheme to make Ning Wuming and Zhu Qingzhu kill each other, and then you reap the benefits. Now, the entire Central Continent is in your hands. I congratulate you. Vulture's words were very sinister. She was mocking Yang Dingtian for not being able to defeat Zhu Qingzhu. He could only use a scheme to make Zhu Qingzhu and Ning Wuming kill each other. However, wasn't the City Lord Yang I used to know an upright and selfless person? He wouldn't use a scheme. Are you hiding too much, or am I too stupid? Vulture said. With that, Ling Jiu glanced at Wu Maji and said, Big Sister Wu, as women, we have to keep our eyes open when facing men. With that, the spirit eagle swaggered off. Yang Dingtian ignored her and looked at Wu Maji's face. Wu Maji's face was a little plump, but it made her look more beautiful. She was so beautiful that it was as if she was releasing light. The moment she saw Yang Dingtian, her beautiful eyes shrank and then quickly scattered. Then, her hands instinctively touched her belly. Her belly was really big, even bigger than Qin Chichi's. Yang Dingtian even suspected that there might be twins inside. Then, the two of them fell into silence. Either of them spoke. Yang Dingtian opened his mouth and asked, Your stomach is so big. Are there two babies inside? Yes, Wu Maji said. Because sometimes there are 4 little legs kicking. Yang Dingtian was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect to hit the nail on the head, and twins at that. Then it must be hard. It's already been more than 7 months. You'll give birth in a little more than a month, Yang Dingtian said. Yes, it's hard, but it's also very happy, Wu Maji said. But what does this have to do with you, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian? Yang Dingtian's smile froze. These were his babies. Of course it had something to do with him. Of course he was happy. This child is… Yang Dingtian was interrupted before he could finish. This child belongs to my husband, Ning Ruo. What does it have to do with you? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian was stunned. Seeing her serious look, he didn't know if she was being serious or not. Right, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, why are you here? Wu Maji asked. One is to see you and the child. The other is to pass something to you on behalf of Ning Wuming, Yang Dingtian said. What is it? Wu Maji asked. Yang Dingtian took out the Devil Spirit misty clothes and Devil Spirit black armor. Are you done? Wu Maji asked. Yes, Yang Dingtian said. Wu Maji put down the cake in her hand, then turned to the wall and pulled out a sharp sword. She then walked towards Yang Dingtian. Maji, what are you doing? Yang Dingtian asked. I'll kill you. Wu Maji raised her sword and slashed at Yang Dingtian with her pregnant belly. Bastard, you pretended to be my husband and sullied my purity. I'll kill you. Yang Dingtian was scared out of his wits. This woman with such a big belly raised her sword at him. What if she hurt the child? Chapter 595. Hey, be careful of your belly, be careful of the baby inside. Yang Dingtian was flustered and tried to snatch the sword from her hand. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Wu Maji slashed a few times. Although this woman's belly was big, her swordsmanship was still sharp. Yang Dingtian felt a sharp pain as he was stabbed a few times. Are you serious? Yang Dingtian was shocked. What do you think? Wu Maji sneered. You dared to impersonate my husband and ruin my chastity. You deserve to die. You think I will be soft-hearted and change just because I am pregnant? Dream on. With that, Wu Maji raised her sword and slashed again. When Yang Dingtian saw that she was wielding her sword with such a big belly, he was instantly alarmed. He quickly fled and said, Okay. I'll leave after saying a few words. I'll leave after saying a few words. Wu Maji ignored him and continued to stab him. Before Ning Wuming died, he made a deal with me. He asked me to give you the demonic spirit fog cloak and demonic spirit black armor. Yang Dingtian carefully dodged and said, Then he gave you a ring and asked you to give it to me. Of course, he also asked you to go to the Ning clan after giving birth. The child in your belly will be the future leader of the Ning clan. Ring? Wu Maji asked. Yes, ring, Yang Dingtian said. I have one, but that bastard gave it to me and I threw it away long ago, Wu Maji said. Besides, you and I are irreconcilable. My Snow clan will not make any deals with you. Then, Wu Maji raised her sword and slashed again. Yang Dingtian said seriously, Maji, are you serious? You should know the meaning of that ring. Yes, I am serious. You and I are irreconcilable, Yang Dingtian. Don't have any fantasies about me because of the child in my belly. I, Wu Maji, have nothing to do with Yang Dingtian, and the child in my belly has nothing to do with you, Wu Maji said coldly. This is my husband's son, Ning Ruo's son. You must not have any improper thoughts. With that said, Wu Maji leaped lightly and landed in front of Yang Dingtian, thrusting her sword madly. Besides, I've already sworn an oath. You lied to me and ruined my innocence. As long as I see you, I will definitely kill you. If I can't kill you today, I will kill you tomorrow. If I can't kill you tomorrow, I will kill you the day after tomorrow, Wu Maji said furiously. Then, he chased Yang Dingtian out of the castle. Then she closed her beautiful eyes and silently chanted a terrifying incantation. Rumble! Suddenly, countless undead crawled out from the ground and madly pounced on Yang Dingtian, crazily attacking him. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In an instant, countless dark undead charged towards Yang Dingtian with ghostly aura that soared to the sky. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The entire magnificent courtyard was filled with the ghostly aura. Yang Dingtian dodged like lightning. However, there were more and more dark undead. Whoosh! Suddenly, a dark undead directly pierced through Yang Dingtian's body. Pfft! Yang Dingtian only felt his vision go black as he spat out a mouthful of black blood. Wooer, what's going on? In the distance, Siri Moore shouted loudly. Third uncle, Yang Dingtian, this thief, ruined my innocence and dares to bully us today. Help me kill him, Wu Maji said coldly. Do you really want to kill him? Siri Moore asked. I must, Wu Maji said. Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, I'm sorry, Siri Moore said. Wooer, you're pregnant. Go back quickly. Leave this Yang Dingtian to me. With that said, Cyril Moore charged into the sky and threw his hands downwards. Flying snow! Immediately, countless snowflakes burst out from his body. They were like countless concealed weapons as they attacked Yang Dingtian in a frenzy. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The countless snowflakes looked incomparably beautiful. However, wherever the snowflakes passed, they were indestructible. Yang Dingtian gathered his celestial qi and formed an energy shield. Then, he waved the sword in his hand madly, frantically dodging the snowflakes. At this time, countless undead began to gather in the distance. They grew bigger and bigger until they became an incomparably huge undead. It was ferocious and terrifying as it madly pounced on Yang Dingtian. Naya quickly rushed over and cried at Wu Maji. Stop, princess, stop! This is your man, the father of the child in your belly. Shut up, Naya, Wu Maji said sternly. Wu Maji spoke sternly. Yang Dingtian humiliated me and ruined my chastity. He is my enemy, an enemy that we cannot coexist with. He was far away in the western continent, and I couldn't help him. Now that he has come to me, he's asking for it. Kill him! Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was attacked by the huge undead and Siri Moore. However, he had the chaotic attribute at this time. His mystical fire did not have any energy or heat, so it could not destroy these ice attacks. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth. Crack! A huge lightning bolt suddenly struck out. Demonic sky split. Crack, 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 countless lightning bolts struck out wildly. He did not dare to strike the huge undead because it was controlled by Wu Maji. If he shattered the undead, Wu Maji would also be severely injured. He could only resist Siri Moore's attack while dodging the huge undead. However, the undead was too fast. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian's vision suddenly turned black as he was hit by the huge undead again. Black, filthy blood violently spurted out. Almost Yang Dingtian's entire body was contaminated. His whole body was on the verge of collapse. Xiao Xiao, what are you looking at? Hurry up and help me hit that man, Yang Dingtian said loudly. Oh! Xiao Xiao immediately rushed up and waved his fists wildly at Siri Moore. Suddenly, everyone was stunned again. Because a fight between children had appeared again. Hundreds of punches were thrown in a second. The wind from each punch was like a cannonball, but none of them hit their target. However, this ice city was unlucky. Wherever Xiao Zhao's fist wind went, everything was smashed into pieces. The huge castle, the bustling streets, and the magnificent city walls. In short, wherever Xiao Zhao's fist wind went, everything was destroyed. In an instant, the most beautiful city of ice was shattered piece by piece, collapsing into pieces. Outside, countless people began to cry and howl as they desperately fled. Siri Moore looked at his city being destroyed and was furious. He said sternly, Yang Dingtian, how dare you! Then, Siri Moore looked up to the sky and roared. Suddenly, in the distance of the royal city, 3 white figures whizzed over and instantly arrived in front of Yang Dingtian. Among the 3 people, 1 was a great Grand Master and 2 were 9-star Grand Masters. Who is so bold to wreak havoc in our ice city? We will crush you into pieces, the old man who led the 3 said sternly. I am Yang Dingtian. I came to the Snow Tribe with no ill intentions. It is you who did not distinguish between right and wrong. Before Yang Dingtian could finish, he was stopped by the old man. This old man was wearing a purplish-red robe. His hair and beard were white, and it was impossible to tell his age. He slowly raised the ice staff in his hand. One great Grand Master and 2 9-star Grand Masters formed a triangle and surrounded Yang Dingtian. Today, we will destroy you, you evil creature! Kill! Naya, who was next to her, knelt down and cried. Princess, I beg you, just chase him away. Why do you have to kill him? Wu Maji was furious. She swung her sleeve and knocked Naya to the ground. She said coldly, Shut up, you traitor! From today onwards, get out of the royal city! Attack, destroy! The old man with the white beard shouted and then slowly raised the ice staff in his hand. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth and began to summon the obsidian fire to condense an unprecedentedly huge lightning. Even if the old man in front of him was a great Grand Master, Yang Dingtian believed that he might not be able to escape from his lightning. Whoosh! The million-spirit demonic fire emerged from his left hand. Whoosh! The devil spirit demonic fire emerged from his right hand. Then, the two flames began to condense, and condense. After condensing to the extreme, it was about to be released. It burst forth with terrifying lightning that could ignore any defense, and even split Xu Qingzhu's head open. Go! The great Grand Master smashed the ice staff in his hand. Roar! Suddenly, a great Grand Master level frost dragon roared and rushed toward Yang Dingtian. At the same time, Yang Dingtian's 2 obsidian fires struck out like lightning. In an instant, the terrifying frost dragon was about to swallow Yang Dingtian. The 2 mystic flames were about to hit the old man at the great Grand Master realm, and then burst out with destructive lightning. Stop! At this moment, a white light suddenly appeared. It was Wu Yuming, handsome, gentle, and elegant. Even in the Snow Clan, he was still a crane in a flock of chickens. He instantly appeared between Yang Dingtian and the great Grand Master of the Snow Clan. Then, he suddenly struck out with his left hand and instantly grabbed the great Grand Master Frost Dragon. His right hand also suddenly grabbed the 2 obsidian fires that were flying like lightning. Then, his left and right hands suddenly crossed. In an instant, the Frost Dragon and the 2 obsidian fires collided together. Boom! A white light flashed, and the ice houses within a radius of more than 10 miles were smashed to pieces. And Wu Yuming, standing in the center of the storm, was completely safe and sound. Then, everyone was suffocated and looked at all this in amazement. Yang Dingtian's 2 obsidian fire lightning, how amazing was it? That old man from the Snow Clan was a great Grand Master. His Frost Dragon Xian's skill was extremely powerful. If both sides were hit, it would be a lose-lose, and it would be a serious injury. However, Wu Yuming had casually received all of the attacks by himself, and then neutralized them. From this, it could be seen how astonishing his cultivation was. Wu Yuming frowned and looked at Yang Dingtian. Brother Yang, why can't we talk things over? Why do we have to fight? It's a complete waste to destroy such a beautiful ice city. Then Wu Yuming said to the elder of the Snow Clan. Priest Elder, I know Yang Dingtian, he is not an evil person. There must be a misunderstanding in today's situation. Why don't you give me face and let him go? The old man of the Snow Clan was the second in command of the Snow Clan, the priest elder of the Snow Clan. After hearing Wu Yuming's words, the priest elder immediately bowed and said, Since young Lord Wu has spoken, how can this old man refuse? Then the priest elder said to Yang Dingtian, It seems that for young Lord Wu's face, I will spare your life. You will never be welcomed here, please leave. Yang Dingtian looked at Wu Maji deeply, and then bowed to the elder of the Snow Clan. He said to Xiao Xiao, Xiao Xiao, stop fighting, let's go. Vulture sneered. My husband saved you, but you didn't even say a word of thanks. Yang Dingtian said to Wu Yuming, We still have a long way to go, right? Then Yang Dingtian and Xiao Xiao flew up to the sky, rode on the demon eagle, and quickly left. Yang Dingtian and Xiao Xiao flew for 1,000 miles and immediately landed. Then they dug an ice cave in the snow, and Yang Dingtian hid in the ice cave, and began to resolve the undead poison in his body. Wumaji's undead poison was not a real poison, but a kind of death chi, a kind of evil energy. It was very scary. Once someone was hit, their blood would be polluted, and they would become like a devil. It was only because of Yang Dingtian's astonishing bloodline and the Naga royal bloodline that he was able to suppress the spread of the undead spirit poison. Over time, he could even resolve the undead poison himself. It was a pity that the darkness flame was asleep, or else the undead poison would be a good meal for him. But in order to recover his battle strength, Yang Dingtian decided to completely expel the undead poison in his body. Wumaji was very powerful, and the undead she summoned were even more shocking. But it was still easy for Yang Dingtian to destroy them. But he was afraid of hurting Wumaji, so Yang Dingtian did not destroy them. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and expelled the undead poison bit by bit. Time passed, second by second. Night fell. Xiao Xiao, who was supposed to be on guard, was sleeping like a pig, and could not be woken up at all. Yang Dingtian wholeheartedly expelled the undead poison bit by bit. Suddenly, there was a gust of wind on the ground. Yang Dingtian opened his eyes. Was the Snow Tribe here? Or was it Wu Yuming? Yang Dingtian held his breath. Soon, someone landed on the ground above him. Crack! Then, the sword fiercely stabbed down. Yang Dingtian grabbed the blade of the sword with lightning speed and pulled it back. Crash! All of a sudden, the ice above his head suddenly collapsed, and the person on top was pulled down alive. The first thing he smelled was a mesmerizing fragrance. Then, he saw a huge belly. Wumaji! What was she doing here? You want to kill me so badly that you came after me after 1,000 miles? Yang Dingtian said coldly. After falling, Wumaji carefully steadied herself and supported Yang Dingtian. Then, she quickly reached out to touch her stomach to check if there were any bumps. Are you crazy? What if you hurt the baby by pulling me down? Wumaji scolded. You're the one who's crazy. Not only did you try to kill me in Snow City, but you also chased me for 1,000 miles. Yang Dingtian said. If I didn't do this, would that hypocrite Wu Yuming believe me? Wumaji said coldly. The Snow Tribe can't afford to offend him. If he knows that the Snow Tribe is working with you, it will be the end of us. Yang Dingtian was shocked. You're acting? Half. Wumaji said. I wanted to cut you into pieces too. Then, she handed over a ring and said, This is the ring that Ning woman gave me. I threw it into the latrine. You said you wanted it, so I asked someone to find it and washed it at least 100 times. Yang Dingtian immediately took the ring and looked at it carefully, but he didn't find anything strange. Then Yang Dingtian couldn't help but look at it over and over again, but he couldn't find anything. Was Ning Wuming lying to him? That can't be, he's already dead, why would he lie to me? Seeing that Yang Dingtian couldn't find anything, Wumaji snatched the ring and put it on her finger. Then, she silently inserted a stream of xianqi into it. She silently chanted an incantation. Yang Dingtian felt a chill down his spine. Maji, you're not going to summon the dead to kill me again, are you? Killing you is good. I want to skin you, eat your flesh, and break your bones every day. Wumaji said coldly. Being angry won't do the baby any good. Yang Dingtian said. I'm not angry, I'm just venting. Wumaji said. Every time I think about how I'll skin you and break your bones, I feel so good. The baby is also very excited in my stomach and kicking around. Alright, shut up. I don't want you to talk to me. Wumaji said. She focused on the ring in her hand. Suddenly, under her command, the dead flew out of the ring one by one, wailing and screaming in the air. Then, the countless dead spirits formed a pattern. The pattern was a golden pyramid. It seemed that Ning Wuming had nurtured the evil spirits, and many treasures, as well as the list of spies, were all placed there. However, there was only a pyramid in the pattern. He couldn't tell where it was. It's under the desert, Wumaji said. I know the general direction, but I don't know the specific location. Then, Wu Maji took out a map, closed her eyes, and recalled. Then, she pointed and said, "It's roughly in this area, within 100 miles. That's easy. I can find it easily," Yang Dingtian said. "I'll go with you," Wu Maji said. "No," Yang Dingtian said. "Your stomach is so big. What if there's a bump?" "You," Wu Maji said disdainfully. "You think you can get in?" "Of course," Yang Dingtian said. "Dream on," Wu Maji said. "Do you have any evil spirit energy in you?" "Oh, you do. You put it in a box and sewed it in your stomach to trick me. You can trick me, but you can't trick the evil spirit guards in the pyramid. Once you enter, all the evil spirits inside will fight back. You can't go in. I'll ask Duan Ruyan to get it," Yang Dingtian said. "Duan Ruyan's evil spirit is only a 4th-class evil spirit," Wu Maji said. "Ning Wuming can enter this temple base, which means that only 3rd-class evil spirits can enter. So, Ning Wuming is dead, and Zhu Qingzhu is gone. Only I can go in. That won't do. I'll think of another way." "I don't believe that I can't get in," Yang Dingtian said. "Anyway, you can't go. Did I discuss it with you?" "I'm just letting you know," Wu Maji said. "Can you stop me from doing what I want to do? Who do you think you are to control me?" "I'm your man," Yang Dingtian said. "Bah!" Wu Maji spat on Yang Dingtian's face and said, "Shameless thing, you're just a pervert." Looking at her domineering and cold face, Yang Dingtian gently wiped the saliva off his face. Then, he grabbed her face and kissed her fiercely. "I'm your man. If I say not to let you go, then I won't let you go." Chapter 596. Wu Maji, who was kissed, shuddered as if she was electrocuted. Then, she froze on the spot. Yang Dingtian took the opportunity to hug her waist, then turned the light kiss into a deep kiss. Wu Maji's waist was like a snake in the past. Now Yang Dingtian could not even hug her waist. At this moment, Wu Maji seemed to have come alive. Her beautiful eyes trembled and her white teeth bit down. "Ah!" Yang Dingtian screamed. His tongue suddenly felt a sharp pain, then a burning sensation. His entire tongue could not feel anything. Yang Dingtian even suspected that his tongue was bitten off. He reached out and wiped his mouth, which was full of blood. You're a dog," Yang Dingtian said fiercely, but his tongue was injured and his voice was muffled. Wu Maji pointed at Yang Dingtian's nose and said, "Yang Dingtian, show me some respect. If there's a next time, I'll bite off your tongue. Do you believe me?" "Yes. Yang Dingtian stuck out his tongue and kept blowing. What's wrong? Do you want to hit her?" Xiao Xiao, who was in a deep sleep, asked Yang Dingtian after being awakened. "Hit your grandpa," Yang Dingtian said. "What's a grandpa?" Xiao Xiao asked. Yang Dingtian didn't bother about him and spoke to Wu Maji. "You really can't go. What if you get injured? The ring is with me. I'm leaving. If you want to stop me, knock me out and take the ring," Wu Maji said and flew out. "Bastard woman!" Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth. At this moment, Xiao Xiao closed her eyes and was about to sleep again. "Let's go." "Don't sleep!" Yang Dingtian pulled Xiao Xiao away. After catching up with Wu Maji, he let her ride on his demon Eagle King and flew as high as possible because it was warmer there. Yes, on Earth, the higher the altitude, the colder it was. However, this world of ice and snow was too cold. It was warmer higher. However, the higher the altitude, the thinner the air. There was not enough oxygen, and it was not good for the baby, so Yang Dingtian quickly flew down. "Are you cold?" Yang Dingtian asked. Wu Maji was dressed very skimpily. Even though she was pregnant, she was wearing very thin clothes. "What do you think?" Wu Maji asked. Yang Dingtian took the shirt and was about to put it on her. "I mean it's not cold at all," Wu Maji said. "Did you wear the demon spirit black armor?" Yang Dingtian asked. "I have such a big belly, how do you expect me to wear it?" Wu Maji asked. Oh, right, Yang Dingtian said. Then, Yang Dingtian fell into silence. Wu Maji was too fierce. She rushed forward as if she had eaten gunpowder, choking back every word she said. Are you mute? Why aren't you saying anything? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian was speechless. Every word he said was choked, but if he did not say anything, he would be called a mute. Wu Yuming, did she leave? Yang Dingtian asked. She left a long time ago, Wu Maji said. If I remember correctly, that vulture is your sworn sister. She used to have an affair with you. What nonsense are you talking about? There's nothing between us, Yang Dingtian said. Is that so? You're a demon in chaos. How can a woman leave you so cleanly? Wu Maji said. But she obviously doesn't like you now. She's always helping her husband deal with you. You're a failure. But he has good taste. That Wu Yuming is much better than you. Is that so? Yang Dingtian said. She's more handsome, more powerful, more vicious, more hypocritical than you. Isn't that enough? Wu Maji said. Since when did being vicious and hypocritical become strengths? Yang Dingtian said. In my eyes, that's a strength, Wu Maji said. Ning Wuming is vicious enough. Why are you? Before Yang Dingtian could finish, Wu Maji clawed at him. Yang Dingtian said angrily. Not only is your zodiac sign a dog, but your zodiac sign is also a cat. Don't mention that bastard. I'm disgusted, Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian was silent for a moment and said, Wu Maji, Ning Wuming is already dead. Don't talk about him like that. No matter how vicious he was still the person who loved you the most and treated you the best in this world. Even more so than Ningli. I'll like whoever treats me well? Am I that cheap? Wu Maji said coldly. If I were such a woman, would I let you off so easily? All right, I'm a bastard now. All right, I can't provoke you, but I can hide from you. I won't say anything, okay? Yang Dingtian didn't say anything. Wu Maji couldn't be bothered with Yang Dingtian. Then, she rubbed her stomach and started singing. Of course, this was for the baby. It was a prenatal education in the chaotic realm. As she sang, Wu Maji suddenly let out a cry. What's wrong? Yang Dingtian asked. The little bad guy in my stomach is kicking me, Wu Maji said. Let me listen. Yang Dingtian wanted to come over. Don't. Who are you? Why did you come over here to listen? Wu Maji said coldly with a cold expression. Yang Dingtian said. At most, I'll let Yen Yen and Xiao Xiao have a baby. I'll listen to all you want. Wu Maji suddenly elbowed Yang Dingtian in the stomach. Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air and rolled his eyes in pain. The extreme south was divided into two parts. The north was an endless desert, and the south was endless ice and snow. In the middle was a precious and rare oasis. The north belonged to the Ning clan of the South Sea, and the south belonged to the Snow clan. Was there any value in the boundless desert that stretched for thousands of miles? Of course there was. Many precious materials and most of the minerals were dug out from under the desert. This endless desert was even the source of the Ning clan's wealth. When dawn arrived, Yang Dingtian and Wu Maji flew over the skies of Peace City. Ning City looked as prosperous and peaceful as before. It didn't look desolate or destroyed. When are you going to bring the child to Ning City? Yang Dingtian asked. I don't know, Wu Maji said. Anyway, the slaves of Ning clan are the most loyal and obedient. Even without a master around, they would still be diligent and complete every task diligently. The territories below will also continuously hand over their wealth to Ning City. After flying over Ning City, the oasis became more and more sparse, and more deserts appeared. After 2,000 miles, all they could see was a pale white desert. The endless desert spanned 4,000 to 5,000 miles. Yang Dingtian was still holding the map to compare, but Wu Maji directly flew in a certain direction. After flying to a place in the desert. Descend, Wu Maji said. Immediately, 2 demon eagles landed. As far as the eye could see, it was a boundless desert. Yang Dingtian said. It's roughly in this direction. Maji, you wait here. I'll go down into the sand and look for it one by one. No need, Wu Maji said. Then, she put on the undead ring and chanted silently. Then, a burst of mystic chi was injected. Swoosh! A golden light shot out from the undead ring. Suddenly, an illusory image appeared in the vast desert. It was like a mirage, extremely thin. This illusion was really a golden pyramid. As the light of the ring became brighter and brighter, the illusion of the golden pyramid became clearer and more realistic. Whoosh! The light of the undead ring dissipated. An incomparably huge illusion of a pyramid stood in front of them. Wu Maji slowly walked towards the door of the pyramid. Hey, this is an illusion, Yang Dingtian said. Who said it's an illusion? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian immediately stepped forward and reached out to touch it. It was actually real. He touched scalding gold. Yang Dingtian was stunned. He thought it was a mirage. He didn't expect it to be real. What was going on? Did this undead ring summon the entire incomparably huge pyramid? Or did the space ring open a passage directly from the plane to the huge pyramid, and the world ignored the geographical distance? But no matter what it was mysterious and mysterious. Didn't you say that it's within 100 miles? You don't know the specifics? Yang Dingtian said. You can pretend to be Ning Yu and lie to me. Can I lie to you? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian was speechless. Then Wu Maji walked in. Follow me, Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian said. Didn't you say that I can't go in without a third-grade evil spirit? I said that shit can be eaten. Will you eat it? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian's lungs were about to explode. This was the first time he had the thought of hitting a pregnant woman. This pyramid was extremely huge. It was about 200 meters tall. The door of the pyramid was a screen of light. It was as if it only recognized the ring and not the person. Wu Maji raised the undead ring and shot out a ray of light, directly dispersing the screen of light. To be safe, Yang Dingtian used his invisibility mystic skill and followed in. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, entered in a daze. After entering, there was a long golden passage. At the end of the golden passage, there was another golden door. Yang Dingtian stepped in front of Wu Maji and pushed the door open. Inside was the main hall of the pyramid. The moment he entered, Yang Dingtian was shocked again. In the middle of the main hall of the pyramid was a huge tree. This tree didn't have any physical tree trunk, leaves, or branches. All of them were white ghost-like shadows. The tree was about 10 meters tall and 1 meter in diameter. This was nothing. The key was that on the tree trunk, there was a ferocious howling face. It was Ning Wuming's face. At this moment, it was extremely painful and ferocious. Then branches grew out from the tree trunk. One branch after another, making the whole tree dance. On the 10 or so thick branches below, there was a face engraved on each of them. However, they were all motionless as if they had died. Later, Yang Dingtian saw a familiar face on the branch. It was Qin Chichi's face. This face was also frozen and motionless. Yang Dingtian immediately understood. The faces on the lowest branches were the Ning clan's elders. There were more than 10 of them who were above the master level. Now they were all dead. They were killed by Zhu Qingzhu. Their souls were also devoured alive. Next, it was Qin Chichi, Qiu Rahan, and the others. The fourth-grade evil spirits these people possessed were all bestowed by Ning Wuming. Therefore, Ning Wuming was the trunk of this big tree, and the fourth-grade evil spirits were the branches. Of course, there were the fifth-grade evil spirits, such as Yi Feng, Song Minghua, and the others. They were even thinner branches and leaves. Their evil spirit energy was the evil spirit contaminants bestowed by Ning Wuming. Of course, among the branches, Yang Dingtian saw a few living faces. They were Qiu Ruhan, Shimin Zhu, and the others. Moreover, Yang Dingtian saw that there were a few new branches on this tree. There were no faces on them, and these branches weren't thick enough. Obviously, these fourth-grade evil spirits weren't bestowed to anyone. Ning Wuming had the right to bestow them to anyone. The evil spirit energy was extremely powerful. Even if one possessed a fourth-grade evil spirit, they would have an immortal body and their cultivation would skyrocket. Therefore, it could be said that in the eyes of many, evil spirits were incomparably precious. They were like immortal elixirs. In order to obtain them, many people were willing to sell everything they had. Therefore, the Ning clan was able to develop so quickly. Ning Wuming was also able to gather so many experts in a short period of time. Why can't I find Duan Rian? Also, more than 10 grandmasters died in the Battle of Cloud Sky City. Why don't they have an immortal body and evil spirit energy? Yang Dingtian asked. Also, how did the blood pupil demonic army grow? Wu Maji glanced at Yang Dingtian, then pulled out her sharp sword and lifted the golden bricks on the ground. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Wu Maji made her move, and countless golden bricks were sent flying. Then, Yang Dingtian was once again completely disgusted by fear. Below the golden bricks was an incomparably huge blood pool. The blood was black and even green. It was sticky and smelled fishy. It was bottomless. And this evil spirit tree was growing in this bottomless blood pool. Then, countless corpses were soaked in the blood pool. There were really countless corpses, too many to count. They were densely packed and stacked on top of each other. At a glance, there were at least tens of thousands of corpses. There were probably hundreds of thousands of corpses under the pyramid. Yang Dingtian saw that among the 100 corpses, there was one that wasn't a skeleton but had flesh. However, most of it was rotten, but it could still move. It was struggling, twisting, and screaming. The one that survived is the blood pupil demonic army. Wu Maji said. 1 in 100. As long as you are an enlightener, even if you have a little bit of Shen meridians, you can soak in it. About 1 in 100 will emerge from the blood pupil demonic army. Last time, you killed all the blood pupil demonic army. Now, a few thousand more blood pupil demonic army have matured. Not only that, among the 10,000 corpses, there might be a black pupil demonic emperor, above the Grand Master level. These people don't look much different from ordinary experts. These are the black-robed grandmasters that you killed for the first time. They don't have evil spirits, but they can reach the Grand Master level in a short period of time. Evil, perverted. Yang Dingtian could not help but say, this is the so-called secret of the Ning clan's strength. Everything depends on evil spirits. What's the list of spies? Yang Dingtian asked. Wu Maji flew up gently and came to the top of the pyramid, where there was a hanging coffin. Opening the coffin, there was a thick book inside. After opening it, it was full of densely packed words. However, they were not written in the common language of this world. This was the list of spies of evil ways. I don't recognize the words on it. Wu Maji said. I recognize them. Yang Dingtian said in his heart. Whether it was from Ningning's space ring or from Qin Chichi, Yang Dingtian had learned this special language. In addition to the list, there were many scrolls in the coffin, most of which were martial and mystic skill scrolls. In addition, there were some weapons and rings. Of course, there were also the incomplete corpses of the demonic spirits. There were more than 30 of them. However, other than the demonic spirit heart and some of the demonic spirit eyes, the other treasures were gone. Because of the energy shield and the demonic spirit black mist, the most precious things were given to Wu Maji's demonic spirit black armor and demonic spirit mist cloak. Yang Dingtian took away the demonic spirit claw, demonic spirit eye, and demonic spirit heart. He did not recognize the rest, so he did not take them. You don't want these scrolls? Wu Maji asked. I don't want them, Yang Dingtian said. Yes, he did not want them. He learned the most mysterious skill in the world, the pig-slaying swordsmanship. It was the pinnacle of the martial arts civilization. He did not care for the other things. Moreover, these things were all from the Temple of Annihilation. If he did not learn them, it would not be suitable for others to learn them. Perhaps it would be different if they were contaminated. A thief will not leave empty-handed. I'll take these, Wu Maji said. Then, she took out a large bag and casually grabbed dozens of scrolls, rings, artifacts, gems, and so on, and put them into the bag. Okay, the things in this bag are yours, Wu Maji said. Then, the rest is all mine. You don't have any objections, right? Yang Dingtian was stunned. This was splitting the loot? What do you want these things for? Yang Dingtian said. Why do you care? Anyway, these things are mine. I don't want them. At most, I will give them to my son and daughter, Wu Maji said. You are going to give them random things. I'm warning you, Yang Dingtian said. Who are you? You dare to control me? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth, but there was nothing he could do. Okay, let's go out, Yang Dingtian said. You are going back? Wu Maji said quietly. Yang Dingtian said. I will send you back first. No need, Wu Maji said. I want to stay in this pyramid for a while and see if there are any other treasures. No, who knows if there are any dangers in here, Yang Dingtian said. Why do you care? Who are you? Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian couldn't take it anymore. He carried Wu Maji and walked out. Wu Maji immediately scolded Yang Dingtian. She opened her mouth and bit Yang Dingtian's back, outside the pyramid. The moment Yang Dingtian and Wu Maji walked out, the pyramid disappeared without a trace. I am going back. When the baby is born, I will try my best to come back, Yang Dingtian said. You should not come, Wu Maji said. I will send you back, Yang Dingtian said. No need. Wu Maji rode on her demon spirit ray and flew toward the Snow Clan. Yang Dingtian looked at her disappearing figure and flew towards the direction of the central continent. After the middle continent's lobbying, he would go to the Yinyang school with his master again. This time Dongfang Minmi would announce his identity to the world. The return of the king. Chapter 597. 3 days and 3 nights later, Yang Dingtian returned to Zhongzhou State. As expected, the leader's persuasion of Zhongzhou State was very successful. 7 days ago, Zhu Qingzhu appeared again and publicly announced his resignation as the sect leader of the Black Heaven sect. Zhu Qingqi would take over. Then Zhu Qingzhu disappeared completely. No one knew where he went. Zhu Qingzhu's announcement shocked the entire Zhongzhou state like a nuclear bomb. Almost all the big shots and people were completely shocked. Zhu Qingzhu had been the sect leader of the Black Heaven sect for almost 20 years. He had been hovering over Zhongzhou state for more than 10 years. He was a person with a strong desire for power. How could he be willing to resign? What exactly happened at the Cloud Sky Pavilion? Of course, there were no fools in the world. Yang Dingtian snatched the Cloud Sky Pavilion and earth-splitting city from Zhu Qingzhu. Zhu Qingzhu flew into a rage out of humiliation and colluded with the evil ways to eliminate the Council of Light in one fell swoop. Although this matter was very secretive, most people of a certain status knew about it. Even if there was no evidence, they could guess it. Moreover, many people saw hundreds of experts from the evil ways flying down from the north. Some of the leaders of Zhongzhou State's forces even estimated the number of grandmasters on both sides to be in the single digits. Therefore, although they could not see it, almost everyone in Zhongzhou was paying attention to this earth-shattering battle. However, everyone felt that Yang Dingtian's side did not have much hope. That was because Yang Dingtian only had 2 grandmasters. Moreover, he had failed to ask for help from the Yinyang school. On the other hand, the Black Heaven sect and the evil ways had joined forces. There were 6 or 7 grandmasters, and Zhu Qingzhu was so powerful. Therefore, Yang Dingtian should be completely finished in a martial arts battle. Therefore, all the forces in Zhongzhou pricked up their ears and waited for the news of Yang Dingtian's destruction. Then, they would watch in agony as Zhu Qingzhu's darkness shrouded Zhongzhou state again. However, they did not expect this news to come. Zhu Qingzhu abdicated, and Zhu Qingqi became the sect leader of the Black Heaven sect. Moreover, Yang Dingtian and the Council of Light were safe and sound. Then, the Council of Light announced that Ningwuming and the Joyless Palace represented the evil ways to attack the Cloud Sky Pavilion. However, they were annihilated by the Council of Light and the Black Heaven sect. The allied forces of the Ning clan and the Joyous Palace were completely annihilated. Ningwuming and Mutant Good died a violent death. This announcement by the Council of Light once again shook the entire world. What was wrong with this world? Why did the Black Heaven sect partner up with the Council of Light? Moreover, he killed the Ning clan and the Joyous Palace? However, if that was the case, why did Zhu Qingzhu abdicate? Countless people could not figure it out no matter how much they thought about it. But no matter what, Yang Dingtian, who was supposed to be destroyed, actually won again. All the forces of Central Continent were in awe. Just as they were still feeling dizzy from the two pieces of news, the Black Heaven sect's Zhu Qingqi announced the third piece of shocking news. From today onwards, the Black Heaven sect will join the Council of Light. This time, the people of Central Continent almost went crazy. What was going on? Just a while ago, they were still fighting to the death. How did the Black Heaven sect join the Council of Light all of a sudden? Then, many different versions of the rumor spread. They said that Yang Dingtian's Council of Light was very mysterious and powerful, and that he defeated the evil ways and the Black Heaven sect that day. Zhu Qingzhu was supposed to die, but he was spared because of Xu Hongshue's pleading. However, Zhu Qingzhu had to be removed from his position as punishment in order for the Black Heaven sect to completely submit to him. The Ning clan and the Joyous Palace were not so lucky. They were completely annihilated. When this version of the rumor spread, everyone believed it immediately. It was reasonable and in line with reality. This way, everything made sense. Why Zhu Qingzhu abdicated, why the Black Heaven sect joined the Council of Light, and why the evil ways were annihilated. The only thing that did not make sense was Yang Dingtian really that powerful? No matter how powerful Yang Dingtian was, he could not be that powerful. Therefore, some people started to imagine. Wasn't there an ancient underwater beast that obeyed Yang Dingtian's orders in the previous naval battle? This time, there was an even more powerful ancient expert that obeyed Yang Dingtian's orders. That was why Zhu Qingzhu and the evil ways were annihilated. As for why Yang Dingtian could command these ancient experts, it was very simple. It was because he was the new leader of the hidden sect. Of course, no one knew that the evil ways were annihilated by Zhu Qingzhu alone. No one knew that even if Yang Dingtian and his 6 masters worked together, they still wouldn't be a match for Zhu Qingzhu. However, this truth was too shocking. No one would believe it even if it was told. However, this way, the persuasion work of the Council of Light's big shots became very simple. Basically, as soon as they opened their mouths, the other party would immediately agree and swear that they would be loyal to the Council of Light, to Yang Dingtian, and to fight the evil ways to the end. At first, Qin Wanzhou and the others even took the initiative to visit and persuade. Later, it was the leader of Zhongzhou's forces who took the initiative to ask to join the Council of Light. No one was a fool. Even the Black Heaven sect had joined. If they still did not join, they would be beaten up. If Yang Dingtian issued a third order to annihilate them, they would not be able to find their graves even if they cried. In the past, there was still Zhu Qingzhu of the Black Heaven sect. Now, even the Black Heaven sect was kneeling. What were they waiting for? Zhongzhou was so big. The persuasion that was originally expected to take a month was completed in less than 10 days. Because in the end, almost everyone took the initiative to come to the Council of Light. In the entire Zhongzhou, there are 25 Tiando League forces and 273 Tiando League affiliated forces. Among them, 23 Tiando League forces have agreed to join the Council of Light, to prepare for the evil ways. And 265 affiliated forces have agreed to join the Council of Light, Zhu Qingqi said. Other than the Vulture sect, which Tiando League forces have not joined the Council of Light? Yang Dingtian asked. The 7 refined lane, Zhu Qingqi said. No wonder Third Lady Gongsun was now Wu Yoming's concubine. That was why the 7 refined lane would not stand on Yang Dingtian's side. During the persuasion, did you encounter any obstruction from some mysterious force? Yang Dingtian asked. For example, the Vulture sect or the Sea of Hades? No, not at all, Zhuo Qingqi said. Yes, the whole process was very smooth, Qin Wanzhou said. By the way, Sect Master, how do you plan to reorganize Zhongzhou? Is it the same as West Continent? It's impossible to do it like West Continent. Yang Dingtian sighed and said. West Continent's forces are much simpler. Once the World Meeting, Qin City, and Divine Weapons Mountain Villa are established, the entire West Continent will be stabilized. Zhongzhou is too complicated. It has too much land, too many people, and too many prosperous cities. If we reorganize like this, it will hurt the interests of many people. When the time comes, countless people will rebel. In West Continent, we can suppress the rebellion, and not many people will die. In Zhongzhou, if there's a rebellion, there will be tens of millions of casualties. This will hurt the Tiando League too much. Qin Wanzhou and the others nodded in agreement. Great chaos can only be solved. Therefore, Zhongzhou can only be reorganized secretly from top to bottom. Dongfang Minmi said. We will work from two aspects. First, let some of Zhongzhou's leaders enter the Council of Light's highest level. But more importantly, we need to establish the Council of Light in Zhongzhou. Let the forces most loyal to Black Heaven sect hold the most power, and change the power structure in Zhongzhou. Second, we will establish the Heavenly Edict Academy and recruit a large number of high-level martial artists. At this point, Dongfang Minmi sighed and said, It's a pity that Zhu Qingzhu left. Otherwise, it would be much easier for him to reorganize Zhongzhou. Yes, my prestige and deterrence are far from enough. Zhuo Qingqi sighed. Then, what about the division of defense zones and the establishment of the Council of Light Corps? Are we still doing it? Qin Wanzhou asked. Yes, but we have to do it slowly, Yang Dingtian said. However, Zhongzhou has a large number of mature navy soldiers. They can be transferred to West Continent to form a new navy. In short, reorganizing Zhongzhou will be a very slow and long-term process. Dongfang Minmi said. Yes, but Zhongzhou joining the Council of Light is a huge victory in itself. If the Yinyang School leads East Continent's forces to join the Council of Light, it will be a huge boost and stimulus for West Continent's reorganization. Everyone nodded. Zhongzhou's forces were far greater than West Continent's. It would be difficult to use West Continent to control Zhongzhou. However, if East Continent and West Continent work together, it would be much easier to reorganize Zhongzhou. Little Tian, Zhongzhou's situation is set. Come with me to Yinyang School in the afternoon. We will let Yinyang School join the Council of Light in the shortest time possible. Then, we will lead the entire East Continent to join the Council of Light. Dongfang Minmi said. 10 days. We will try to hold the Tiando League conference in Zhongjing in 10 days to reunite the world. We will reorganize the Council of Light as a wartime organization and prepare for the upcoming Doomsday War. Yes, Master, Dongfang Minmi said. In the afternoon, Yang Dingtian, Dongfang Minmi, Ning Busi, Qing Deibai, and Shadowless. The 5 of them rode the Demon Eagle and headed to Yinyang School. 2 days and 1 night later, the 5 of them arrived in the sky above Dongfang Yunzhou and landed directly in front of Yinyang School. The 4 of them were all covered in white cloaks. Only Yang Dingtian's face was exposed. At this time, there were still hundreds of people waiting in line at Yinyang School. Yang Dingtian walked forward and said to the disciple guarding the gate, Yang Dingtian has come to visit. All members of the Yinyang School's Elders Guild, please come out to welcome him. The disciple was stunned. He then bowed and said, Yes, I will go and report this. Then, he quickly left. Half an hour later, Leng Ao appeared in front of Yang Dingtian. City Lord Yang, you're so impressive. But remember, if you're impressive, don't act in front of Yinyang School. No matter what your status is outside, in front of Yinyang School, you're just an abandoned student of Yinyang School. Even if you're the City Lord of Cloud Sky City, in front of Yinyang School, you're just a traitor. Leng Ao said indifferently. You want all of the Yin-Yang School's Elders Guild to come out to welcome you? Yang Dingtian, you think too highly of yourself. Today, Yin-Yang School does not welcome you. Please leave. Humph. Ning Busi snorted and said, Is this the most outstanding young disciple of Yin-Yang School? Has being a frog in a well made you so stupid? Ning Busi suddenly lifted his cloak. Ling Ao's expression changed. He then bowed and said, Disciple Ling Ao greets Grand Marshal Uncle. I asked you a question, so just answer. Ning Busi said. I can only listen to Grand Marshal Uncle's teachings. However, I feel that I'm not wrong. Yang Dingtian is an abandoned disciple of Yin-Yang School. No matter how high his status is or how high his cultivation level is, in front of Yin-Yang School, he can only be an abandoned disciple. I will not bow to force. I will not become humble and flatter him just because his strength and status have changed. Ling Ao said stiffly, You want all of the Yin-Yang School's Elders Guild to come out to welcome you? Yang Dingtian is not worthy. Even you are not in line with the rules. This is not me trying to show off, and it is not Yang Dingtian trying to show off. Ning Busi said, Since the headmaster has arrived, shouldn't the Yin-Yang School come out to welcome him? Since the headmaster has arrived, of course we should all come out to welcome him. However, the headmaster is already dead. Ling Ao said. Who said that I'm already dead? Dong Fang Minmi said coldly. Then, he suddenly lifted his cloak. Behind him, Qing Deibai and Wu Ying also lifted their cloaks. When Ling Ao saw Dong Fang Minmi, his body suddenly trembled. His entire body was completely stiff, and he could not breathe for a moment. After a long time, he suddenly knelt down. Disciple Ling Ao welcomes the headmaster's return. After kneeling and kowtowing, Ling Ao quickly returned to Yin-Yang School. 15 minutes later, all of the Yin-Yang School's Elders Guild, the leaders of all the valleys and pavilions in the Yin-Yang School, a total of hundreds of people, walked out of the mountain gate and knelt down on the platform in front of the mountain gate. The Yin-Yang School welcomes the headmaster's return. Just like that, Dong Fang Minmi easily became the head of the Yin-Yang School. He immediately obtained all of the authority of the Yin-Yang School. He had been away for more than 13 years. Would there be anyone in the Yin-Yang School's Elders Guild who had other thoughts? Would there be anyone with ambitions? Of course there were. When the news of Dong Fang Minmi's death spread, not everyone in the Yin-Yang School was sad. Some were secretly delighted. Otherwise, no one would treat Madame Dongfang so coldly. Furthermore, Dong Fang Minmi's return was no less than a thunderbolt to some people. However, Ning Busi, Cheng Deibai, and Shadowless, the three grandmasters, stood loyally behind Dong Fang Minmi. Was this enough to suppress any thoughts of disloyalty? It was enough to prevent anyone from acting out of desperation. Not to mention, Dong Fang Minmi also had an extremely powerful disciple. After Dong Fang Minmi became the head of the Yin-Yang School, he did not hesitate and immediately took over the Yin-Yang School's Elders Guild. He directly established the Yin-Yang School's temporary 3-person team and absorbed all of the authority of the Yin-Yang School into this 3-person team. Ning Busi, Qing Deibai, and Shadowless were the members of this 3-person team. Next, they began to thoroughly investigate and even purge the Elders Guild. In the past 10 years, it was not only Dong Fang Minmi who was absent. Even Ning Busi and Qing Deibai did not care about the Yin-Yang School's matters. Therefore, it was obvious that the Yin-Yang School was heavily infiltrated. However, now that there were 4 grandmasters holding the fort, no one could cause any trouble. Moreover, Dong Fang Minmi held absolute righteousness. All of the mid-level and low-level martial artists in the Yin-Yang School regarded him as their absolute spiritual leader. After becoming the head of the Yin-Yang School, on the same day, Dong Fang Minmi announced in Dongfang Yunzhou that the Yin-Yang School officially joined the Tiando League's Council of Light and fully prepared for the evil ways. 3 days later, the Yin-Yang School's reorganization and purge were more or less complete. Of course, this kind of reorganization and purge was very violent. Any members who might be infiltrators of the evil ways or those who might have been infiltrated had their Xian meridians sealed, and were temporarily placed under house arrest. Among them was Ling Ao. Ling Ao's suspicion was very small. The reason he was placed under house arrest was only that he was hostile to the Council of Light, and did not have a correct understanding of the evil ways. Of course, he was only placed under house arrest and did not kill anyone. They wanted to thoroughly investigate the evil ways infiltrators in the East Continent, and find out which of them had betrayed them. The only way was to find the biggest infiltrator of the evil ways in the East Continent. However, this person did not appear at all and did not take any action. There was no way to find out. That's right. The evil ways in the East Continent had not taken any action yet. In other words, almost none of the infiltrators of the evil ways had awakened. 3 days later, Dongfang Minmi gathered all the martial arts forces in the East Continent at the Tiando League's headquarters. The Tiando League's forces, as well as their affiliated forces, were all present. Dongfang Minmi did not explain anything about his resurrection and comeback. He only said 3 sentences. The first sentence was that the demon king Wentian would be resurrected soon. Once he was resurrected, it would be the day of the apocalyptic war. The second sentence was that Yinyang's school would join the Council of Light and prepare for war with all their might. In this monstrous war, if they were not comrades, they would be enemies. The third sentence was that the forces in the East Continent would make their own choices. The East Continent was not as big as the West Continent. There were a total of 19 Tiando League forces and more than 400 affiliated forces of the Tiando League. The East Continent was the smallest in the world, but it accounted for almost half of the total registered martial artists. This was a pure martial arts continent. It did not have many armies, territories, or castles. What it had were the purest martial arts sections. Yin-Yang School's appeal in the East Continent was greater than that of the Black Heaven sect in the Central Continent. Under Dongfang Minmi's tough words, almost all the forces in the East Continent agreed to join the Council of Light on the same day. Soon Yin-Yang School would enter the East Continent and be completely reorganized. In the Central Continent, it was very difficult to reorganize. It was almost impossible. Because there were too many benefits, too many territories, and too many cities. In the East Continent, it was much easier to reorganize. Because the benefits involved were very small. Whether it was the establishment of the Heavenly Edict Academy, the movement of martial artists for cultivation, the establishment of defense zones, the establishment of defense lines, or the establishment of a martial artist army. The difficulty and resistance were not too great. Of course, these things were very difficult to accomplish in one go. Now, the West Continent, Central Continent, and East Continent were all unified and had joined the Council of Light. Then, the only thing left was the Tiando League Conference in Zhongjing. They would officially announce that the world was unified and that the Council of Light would be reorganized as a wartime authority. They would officially announce that the Primal Chaos Continent would be fully prepared for the apocalyptic war. Now, the Legion of Doom was still in hiding. The Demon King Wentian had not been resurrected. The Queen Devil Queen, Prince Li Ming, and Princess Mu Dan were all trying their best to resurrect the Demon King. And the Joyous Palace's experts were all wiped out. The Temple of Blood's master was wise. Yan Dingtian's Council of Light's only enemies could only be the Sea of Hades and the Vulture sect, who had ulterior motives. But once the Tiando League conference was held, everything would be a foregone conclusion. Even the Sea of Hades and the Vulture sect could not change anything. Although these two sects were powerful, they were unable to go against the entire world. They could not go against the entire Tiando League. Chapter 598. Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Minmi had returned to Zhongjing. Originally, the Tiando League was supposed to be held in East Continent. That was the headquarters of the Tiando League. However, the main focus of the reorganization was Zhongzhou, so the Tiando League was held in Zhongjing instead. Dongfang Minmi had said that the Tiando League would be held in 10 days. Although the reorganization of East Continent was very fast, 10 days was still not enough. Therefore, it was unanimously decided that it would be held in 5 days, on July 9th. When he went to Eastern Cloud State with his master, Yang Dingtian gave the Council of Light and Black Heaven sect a task that was not considered difficult but was very huge. That was to eliminate the spies of evil ways. Now that Ning Wuming's army was wiped out, the tens of thousands of spies in Zhongzhou had lost their highest leader. The spies of evil ways were the most terrifying group of spies. This was something that Yang Dingtian would be able to see clearly if he was in the world. She was loyal to them. Their ruthlessness and decisiveness. Especially their spirit of sacrifice. It was enough to make anyone shudder. However, their eternal loyalty and obedience made them harmless when they were not given orders. With Ning Wuming's specific name list, it was not difficult to capture these tens of thousands of spies. These spies didn't even resist when they were captured. This was because they did not receive any orders. The Council of Light used the shortest amount of time to form a team of hundreds of thousands to capture the spies. When they were in West Continent, Yang Dingtian had tricked Wu Maji, and then mobilized tens of thousands of people to eliminate all the spies in West Continent in one day and one night. Although Zhengzhou was 3 times bigger, 4 to 5 days was enough. Uncle Master Zhua, Uncle Master Qin, how's the capture of the spies of evil ways coming along? Yang Dingtian asked. Zhua Qinqi and Qin Wanchou instantly fell silent. Yang Dingtian's expression changed slightly. What's wrong? The capture operation failed, Qin Wanchou said. Qin Wanchou said, we only caught a few hundred people. There were also a few hundred who committed suicide before we found them. What about the tens of thousands of people? Yang Dingtian asked. They're all gone, Qin Wanchou said. This name list is very clear. Even their faces are described clearly. Moreover, their current identities and names are all very clear. But by the time we found them, they had all disappeared. Disappeared? How could this be? Yang Dingtian's expression changed drastically. The disappearance of tens of thousands of people, under the watchful eyes of our hundreds of thousands of soldiers, is absolutely impossible, Qin Wanchou said. That's right. When we started to capture them, it was impossible for these tens of thousands of people to disappear. Even if they dug 3 feet into the ground, we would still find them. But these spies disappeared before we made our move. The hundreds of people who were captured and the hundreds who committed suicide were the ones who couldn't escape in time. Tens of thousands of people suddenly disappeared from the land of Zhongzhou State and evaporated from the world? How could this be? Zhua Qinqi said. These spies are from various forces in Central Plains, some of them hold prominent positions. Therefore, the sudden disappearance of these people will definitely attract attention. In fact, this is also the case. Before this period of time, we heard news of people suddenly disappearing in batches, as if the world had disappeared from the face of the earth. Yang Dingtian asked. When exactly? When did they start to disappear? On the 3rd day after Ning Wuming's death, this group of people began to disappear. Zhua Qinqi said. It's been more than 20 days since then. It's been 20 days since we started to capture them. These 20 days are enough for tens of thousands of people to disappear completely. Yang Dingtian felt a chill in his heart, and his eyes trembled. Could this be Ning Wuming's backup plan? He made a plan for himself in case something went wrong? Once he lost and died, he would make all the Central State's spies disappear? Yang Dingtian believed that Ning Wuming definitely had the ability to plan this. This person's calculations were almost flawless. When it came to scheming, even 10 Yang Dingtians would not be his opponent. Therefore, there was this possibility. But this possibility wasn't very big. Because Ning Wuming was an extremely selfish person. Other than himself and Wu Maji, he didn't care about anyone else's life. After he died, he only cared about Wu Maji. He didn't care about anything else. There was another possibility. Other than Ning Wuming, there was someone else who knew about this specific list. Once Ning Wuming died, this person organized all the Central State's spies to evacuate. This person knew that once Yang Dingtian got hold of this list, the evil ways spies in Central State would be uprooted. Then, who could this person be? Who had the ability to get hold of this list? Who had the ability to evacuate tens of thousands of people? There weren't many people who could do this. In fact, it could be counted with one's fingers. Could it be Wu Yuming? Of course, he was one of the few who had this ability. The power he wielded was even the greatest in the world right now. However, he and Vulture personally went to the Snow Clan, as if they wanted to get something from Wu Maji, including this list of spies. It seemed like he didn't know about this. However, who could guarantee that this wasn't Wu Yuming acting? In terms of acting, Wu Yuming was definitely better than Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian had said before that these spies couldn't be allowed to collude with Wu Yuming. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. Although Wu Yuming pretended to be righteous, he had to be careful when doing things. He couldn't destroy his own image of righteousness. However, if the evil ways spies were in his hands, then it would be too shocking. His left hand was benevolent and righteous, while his right hand was terrorizing. Zhu Qingzhu had played this game before, and the results were very good. It allowed him to easily regain control of the central state's power in a few months. Zhu Qingzhu's methods were ruthless, but he was arrogant and fragile. He was still brooding over the kneeling incident 20 years ago. Therefore, he had to straighten his back at all times. Therefore, Yang Dingtian clearly knew that he wasn't a complete person after fighting with him a few times. He had always been struggling in his heart, and there was a painful cleansing in his heart. There was a strong bottom line in his heart that prevented him from falling into the darkest abyss. It was also this bottom line that made him surrender and leave when he could defeat Yang Dingtian and everyone else. Just like Ning Wuming, there was a painful knot in his heart. That was his infatuation with Wu Maji, and his inferiority complex. Therefore, there was an absolute bottom line in his heart, and that was to not harm Wu Maji, and even the child in her womb. However, Wu Yuming was different. Wu Yuming was many times more cunning than Zhu Qingzhu. Once he did something, he was very thorough. Once tens of thousands of evil ways spies fell into his hands, the power he could unleash would be many times more than Zhu Qingzhu's. There was another detail. When Dongfang Minmi was chasing Ning Wuming, there was a great Grand Master waiting quietly in the southern part of the Sunset Mountains and saved Ning Wuming. Who was that person? Now it seemed that this person was most likely from Wu Yuming's faction. At least, it wasn't Zhu Qingzhu. During the battle with Qin Shiqi in Cloud Sky City, and the battle with Zhu Qingzhu in Central Province, Wu Yuming and the faction behind her had been playing the role of the Oriole. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the Oriole behind. When these people disappeared on a large scale, they must have left through the sea or the air. Yang Dingtian said. Did anyone find any strange ships or flying mounts? Yes, Zhuo Qingqi said. Someone once saw a ship that shouldn't have been there at the pier. It was sailing in the southern barbarian continent, Yang Dingtian said. Should be, Zhuo Qingqi said. Later, a few people at the pier were killed. Silenced, Qin Wanzhou said. Zhuo Qingqi nodded and said, Of course, that's not the most troublesome thing. The most troublesome thing is, 4 days ago, when someone was waiting for the sunrise at the top of Thunder Mountain, he suddenly heard a very strange cry from the sky. It came from very, very high up in the sky. What cry? Yang Dingtian asked. Gagalu. More than one cry, Zhuo Qingqi said. The cry of the black vulture, Yang Dingtian said. Yes, Zhuo Qingqi said. The vulture sex black vultures never leave southern barbarian continent. I believe that it's not the only place where the black vultures visit, and it's not the only time they visit. Perhaps the black vultures have been flying over Central Province for the past few nights and then landing, Yang Dingtian said. Someone changed these evil ways spies' identities and faces and sent them back to Central Province. Yes, Zhuo Qingqi said. So here comes our trouble. Thousands or tens of thousands of evil ways spies have changed their faces and entered Central Province again. We don't know if their goal is to attack and destroy the upcoming Tiando League. Looks like it must be, Qin Wanchou said. No one would have thought that we could defeat Zhu Qinzhu and the Evil Ways Alliance. But everyone knows that once the Tiando League convenes, the entire world's situation will be decided. The faction leader will become the only leader of the Tiando League, and the entire chaotic world will prepare for the Legion of Doom. The Sea of Gloom and Vulture sect will be completely marginalized by the world. So, someone will do everything they can to destroy the Tiando League, Zhuo Qinqi said. But what will they do? I don't know, Qin Wanchou said. Maybe they will plan something that will change the entire world. Then what will they do? They are in the dark, and we are in the light. We don't know what they want to do, so we can't stop them, Zhuo Qinqi said. Don't care what they do, we will only do what we should do, Yang Dingtian said. Don't let others destroy our rhythm, and prepare for the Tiando League with all our strength. How many legions from the West Province are here? 300,000, Qin Wanchou said. Send out all the crystal warships and fast crystal warships to lock down and monitor every part of the sea. Send out all the Demon Eagle legions in Central Province, and all the flying mounts to monitor every part of the sky. The hundreds of thousands of legions in Central Province, and the elite legions controlled by Xian Tian sect will lock down the entire Central Province, especially Zhongjing. Before the Tiando League ends, no one is allowed to enter or leave. Send out orders to all the armies in Central Province to investigate every city and monitor every suspicious face that has appeared recently. Yes, Qin Wanchou shouted. Other than the participants, no one is allowed to enter Zhongjing. Monitor all the new faces that have appeared in Zhongjing in the past 20 days. Lock down Zhongjing and even the entire Central Province. No one is allowed to enter or leave. After the highest order of the Council of Light was issued, immediately, hundreds of thousands of flying mounts rushed into the sky and began to lock down every part of the Central Province. Thousands of crystal warships of all kinds began to lock down every part of the sea in Central Province. 200,000 Tiando League Black Cavalry and 200,000 Council of Light Elite Legions surrounded the entire Zhongjing. The hidden strongholds in Central Province that Zhu Qinzhu had built were all activated to monitor every place. Millions of troops began to check every place, every restaurant, every house, looking for suspicious faces. Especially the new faces that had appeared recently. Of course, the Council of Light and Xian Tian sect could only control the Central Province at the moment. As for the forces in South Central Province and North Central Province, they had just agreed to join the Council of Light. They would accept the order, but it was hard to say whether they would carry it out or not. The Council of Light's control over these forces was still very weak. Even the Council of Light found it difficult to control the Central Province. There were 200,000 elites in the West Continent, and 300,000 elites in the Xian Tian sect. A total of 500,000 to 600,000. It was very difficult to control the entire Central Province, but it was still possible to control the Zhongjing. Therefore, Yang Dingtian could only place his absolute focus on the Zhongjing. As long as the Zhongjing was stable and safe, it would be difficult to stop the Tiando League from being held. It would be difficult to stop the general situation of the world from being fixed. At Yang Dingtian's order, millions of troops were mobilized. Tens of thousands of miles of land, countless cities, and countless towns were all in turmoil. This was the power that came with power. With a casual glance and a wave of his hand, millions of people would risk their lives for him. He could change the fate of hundreds of millions of people. However, Yang Dingtian had never been an ambitious person. After a short period of intoxication, not only did he not feel happy, but he also felt a little uncomfortable. Because this meant that he would be reviled and criticized. He did not care about the reviling and criticism, but he did not enjoy it. He only hoped that these actions would be useful. They could stop the upheaval from happening. But no matter what. With the Council of Light's order, the entire Central Province was filled with a sense of oppression as if a storm was coming. Faction leader, Jiao Liao requests to see you. It's very urgent. Yang Dingtian was staring at the huge map in a daze. Suddenly, Yun Zhenu came in to report. Yun Zhenu had changed her appearance. She looked like Yang Dingtian's personal secretary. Jiao Liao? She was now the highest-ranking spy in the West Province. Her mission was very heavy. What was she doing here? Did something happen in the West Province? Let her in. Yang Dingtian. After Jiao Liao entered, she immediately knelt down on one knee and said, "Faction leader, Madame Jiao is about to be born." Yang Dingtian's eyes trembled. Jiao Liao was definitely not someone who could not distinguish between public and private matters. Even if Shimin Yanyan was about to give birth, she would not leave the West Province to report to Yang Dingtian. But Jiao Liao was different. This was because Yarao was a second-generation demon fox. Her ancestor was once tempted by the void demon dragon and fell into darkness. Her mission was the same as the second generation of Naga. She was to find humans, and use their genes to give birth to a perfect race of gods. They entered the primal chaos mainland from another space for the same purpose. Such people included Gudu Aoshuang's mother. She succeeded and gave birth to 2 women. One was a human, and the other was a Naga. As for Yarao, she was the second generation after being tempted by the void demon dragon. So once she was pregnant, she could be an extremely powerful and perfect descendant of a demigod. Now, she had been pregnant for more than 10 months and was finally about to give birth. What would happen to the child she gave birth to? No one knew. He only knew that his child was very healthy. He even paid attention to this point. Only now did he remember that his child was completely different from the humans in this world. "I know this is very important, but I don't have time," Yang Dingtian said. "Ride the demon eagle and use your fastest speed to make a trip to the Temple of Blood. Let De Gushao temporarily protect everything in Cloud Sky City." "Temple of Blood?" Jiao Liao said. "De Gushao is the leader of the evil ways. He will go," Yang Dingtian said. "Yes," Jiao Liao said. "Then what about the person who will deliver the child?" "Master's wife and mother-in-law will deliver the child," Yang Dingtian said. "Yes, then I will go and do it. Once Yarao gives birth to the child, I will immediately report," Jiao Liao said. "Okay." Yang Dingtian nodded. "Sect Master, you should go back," Qin Wanchou suddenly said. "I know that Yarao's child is very, very different. The first person he saw was you. Perhaps it will be very different in the future. Martial uncle, I want to go too. I want to see the child for the first time," Yang Dingtian said. "But if the mastermind behind all of this and the one who wants to destroy the Tiando League and create a shocking incident is Wu Yuming, then I believe that he will definitely meet me in advance. I have this feeling." "Meet? Why?" Qin Wanchou asked. "He wants to toy with me and trample on me," Yang Dingtian said. "I can clearly feel this. Every time I see him, I can clearly feel it. Since you can feel this, then what do you think he will do?" Qin Wanchou asked. "I don't know. In fact, I can see this person clearly. I once asked him a question. What does he want? He didn't answer me. But this question is indeed what I want to ask him. Because I really don't know what he wants," Yang Dingtian said. "But Ning Wuming once told me that it's not necessarily a good thing for me to win against him. From then on, the way we fight will completely change." At this point, Yang Dingtian said with a smile, "To be honest, I somewhat miss Ning Wuming now. Although this person is extremely vicious and his schemes are unfathomable. But his face at least tells you directly that I want to frame you, I want to plot against you. Unlike Wu Yuming, we completely don't know what he wants to do. Sect Master, Shu Hongxue requests an audience." At this moment, slave Yun Jun entered to report. After a moment, Shu Hongxue entered. "What's the matter, senior brother?" "Senior?" Yang Dingtian asked. "It's like this. After your order is passed down, the first thing to be rectified is Zhongjing. All the suspects in Zhongjing will be under surveillance. Some of the more suspicious ones will be arrested," Shu Hongxue said. "The first one to bear the brunt is Ling Wu. Because she has an extraordinary relationship with Wu Yuming. Yang Dingtian frowned and said, Yes, this is very normal. I won't be biased because of her. Locking her up at this time is protecting her instead. I know, Xu Hongxue said. Senior brother Zhao Mu is the person to execute this matter. He went to see Ling Wu. Ling Wu said that she wants to see you. I'm not free, Yang Dingtian said. I won't see her. This time, he had made a big fuss and sealed off the entire Zhongjing to investigate any suspects. Without a doubt, Ling Wu was going to ridicule Yang Dingtian again and attack his tyranny. Little did she know that the current Zhongjing was already the most dangerous place. In case the Evil Way's spies launched the most thorough and terrifying attack, then it wouldn't be tens of thousands of people who would die. It might be hundreds of thousands, or even more. Of course, it was still unknown whether Wu Yuming would launch such a direct and thorough attack. But they had to be on guard. In short, Yang Dingtian didn't have the obligation to explain to Ling Wu. Yes. Xu Hongxue left. However, an hour later, Xu Hongxue came again. Sect Master, Ling Wu requests to see you again, Xu Hongxue said. She said that it's not that she wants to see you, but she wants to convey some words to you on behalf of Wu Yuming. Yang Dingtian's face trembled slightly. Wu Yuming asked Ling Wu to convey the words to him. What did he want to say? However, Yang Dingtian's intuition was right. If Wu Yuming was planning to operate some shocking conspiracy, he would definitely meet Yang Dingtian in advance. I'll go now. Yang Dingtian. Chapter 599. The related suspects in Zhongjing were locked up in various castles. Ling Wu was locked up in one of the castles. However, considering the special nature of her identity, she was locked up in a room by herself. Yang Dingtian pushed open the door and entered. Ling Wu was still standing at the window. Therefore, Yang Dingtian could only see her back view. What did Wu Yuming ask you to pass on to me? Yang Dingtian asked. I haven't congratulated you on obtaining the entire Central Continent. I've just escaped to the Central Continent, and the Central Continent is now yours, said Ling Wu. Stop! Yang Dingtian frowned and said. Stop. Is this insolence sarcasm or an attack? Please stop. Let's get straight to the point. What did Wu Yuming ask you to pass on to me? Ling Wu turned around and said. Why? Are you afraid of facing my words because she's piercing your heart? No. I'm afraid of your stupidity, and I'm powerless to deal with it, Yang Dingtian said. I'm not good with words. I obviously know that other people's stupidity is beyond compare, yet I can't explain it. Ling Wu's face twitched for a while. She smiled and said, Now you also know how to use words to attack? It's just that it's very laughable. It's just childlike pestering endlessly and verbally attacking. I'm very stupid. Say something reasonable. I really want to save your thinking. However, I'm very sorry. I don't have enough time, Yang Dingtian said. So let's talk. What did Wu Yuming ask you to pass on to me? You're very afraid of him? Ling Wu smiled. Yes, a little, said Yang Dingtian. So you also know fear. You also know that there's someone who's far better than you, said Ling Wu. It's a good thing to know fear. People who don't know fear are the ones who are tragic, Yang Dingtian said indifferently. Are you afraid of some things? I'm not afraid, said Ling Wu. Because my heart is righteous and strong, and I've grasped the truth. Therefore, I'm fearless. Are you really not afraid? Are you not afraid if someone wants to kill your father? Yang Dingtian said. Are you threatening me? Ling Wu said coldly. However, I'll still say that. No matter what method you use, don't think of making me yield. Even if you're using my father. Threaten you? Threaten you with what? Do you have any value in being threatened? Yang Dingtian. The truth is cruel, but I still have to tell you that your only value is the special relationship between you and me. If I care about you, your value will be owned. If I don't care about you, then you are worthless. Therefore, no one will threaten you. Even if there is, it will be others who use you to threaten me. Shut up, you arrogant thing. Who do you think you are? With my value, do I still need to rely on you? I'm an independent and noble person. I'm not related to you in any way. Ling Wu said loudly. Feel free to use whatever means you have. So what if you want to imprison me? I'm different from you. You have a guilty conscience. You're afraid of Big Brother Wu Yuming. I have a righteous heart. I'm not afraid of anyone. You've said it before. You're not even afraid that your father might be killed. Then you really have nothing to fear. Because whether it's for the stubbornness, pride, or truth in your heart, you don't care about anything, including your father's life. Yang Dingtian said indifferently. But I care. There are too many people I care about. My wife, my children, my comrades, my brothers, my master's wife, and so on. There are many, many of them. These people are my most beloved, and also my weakness. I'm full of flaws, but Wu Yuming doesn't have any flaws for the time being. I would naturally be afraid of him. Ling Wu, I'm not good with words. Therefore, I rarely talk to others. Basically, unless I'm very, very sure that it's the right thing to say, I'll only say it. Then today, I'll tell you one sentence, just one sentence. Yang Dingtian, you don't know fear. Either you're an extremely egotistical person, or you're a stupid person. Ling Wu's delicate body trembled, and her face instantly turned ghastly pale. You have a reaction? After seeing Ling Wu's reaction, Yang Dingtian said, All right then, I'll tell you the second sentence. You keep saying that your heart is strong, righteous, and has truth in your heart. If we're talking about something specifically, your truth should be. You're righteous, and I'm evil. Everything I've done is to usurp the power of the entire world. I won't argue with you on this point. I'll only ask you one thing. Previously, you liked to wear tight and wear-resistant coarse clothes, and didn't like to wear luxurious brocade clothes. But now, why do you like to wear expensive and soft brocade clothes? Previously, you were barefaced, and your skin was slightly dark and even a little rough due to exposure to the wind and sun. But now, your skin is snow-white and delicate. The one who changed is you, not me. Previously, your simplicity and wildness were your style. What did you encounter? It made you impatiently bid farewell to your past, to bid farewell to your simplicity and wildness, and to chase after a kind of so-called calmness, prosperity, nobility, and nothingness. What did you encounter? It made you feel inferior, made you impatiently deny everything about your past, made you blindly chase after some things, and even package them with pride and righteousness. Ling Wu, although I'm not good with words, I have a pair of eyes and a pair of eyes. However, I still have a pair of observant eyes, and also a resolute heart. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, regardless of whether it's for the so-called righteousness or for the so-called pride. In short, forgetting the past means betrayal, and denying everything about yourself means complete loss. Then, you'll have nothing. Someone made you feel inferior. But when a person starts to feel inferior, then the distance to sliding into darkness isn't too far. Ling Wu sat stiffly on her seat. Her face was pale, and she didn't say a word. All right, my wisdom is ordinary. So I can only say so much, Yang Dingtian said. Then, pass on Wu Yoming's words to me. At this moment, Ling Wu appeared helpless and weak. It was as if her inner heart was being torn apart alive, and then exposed in front of her eyes, dripping with blood. That feeling was like the shame and hurt of being stripped naked in front of countless people, and it made her tremble from head to toe. Then, she quickly closed her eyes and clenched her hands, trying to find some strength to support herself. She started to take deep breaths, and started to gradually calm herself down. Yang Dingtian knew that this was a kind of thought isolation technique. It completely isolated her mind and body from the outside world, and prevented her from receiving any harm, including the harm of the truth. Very soon, Ling Wu calmed down, and her gaze had completely recovered its tranquility. She looked at Yang Dingtian and said indifferently, Yang Dingtian, your words are very sharp. It seems like you have a lot of means. Of course, if you didn't have such means, you wouldn't have been able to bewitch Shu Hongxue, Qin Huaiyu, Song Chunhua and the others to risk their lives for you. Previously, someone told me that your brainwashing ability is very powerful, but I didn't believe it. Now, I completely believe it. However, you can rest assured that I won't reject the truth and truth. I'll think carefully about what you've said. No, you won't think about what I've said. You'll only think of any method and use any theory to deny what I've said, and to prove that you're right. Yang Dingtian said. But I'm sorry, this is all I can do. I'm too busy, and I don't have the time to take care of your mind. There's no need for that. Lingwu said. I'm an objective person, and I'm also a brave person. I can look straight at my own shortcomings, and I'll think about what you've said in a realistic manner. You don't have to judge others by your own standards. All right, you can't go out for the time being. You have a lot of time to think here. Yang Dingtian said. Now pass on Wu Yoming's words to me. To see a person clearly, one shouldn't look at what he says, but what he does. Lingwu said. You don't have a guilty conscience, so why did you imprison me? When Lingwu found out that she had been imprisoned, not only was she not angry, she was happy instead. Because this had provided her with a weapon in her mind, a weapon to deny Yang Dingtian. As long as she denied Yang Dingtian, then his theory would be wrong, and those words that he had said to her would be wrong. Then she, Lingwu, would be able to become strong again. She kept saying that she would think in a realistic manner, and wouldn't deny Yang Dingtian to prove that she was right. In fact, she had already started. Yang Dingtian lost interest and said, All right, I'm running out of patience. Pass on Wu Yoming's words to me. Lingwu stood up and stood face to face with Yang Dingtian. It was as if she wanted to pursue a kind of imposing manner, an imposing manner that wasn't weak. After that, she said to Yang Dingtian word by word. He asked me to pass on a message to you. Don't hold the Tiando League Assembly. Don't let your ambition destroy you. Just this sentence? Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Lingwu said. Got it. The first sentence is for me, while the second sentence is for you. Yang Dingtian turned around and walked out. If I'm not wrong, this sentence should be just a prelude. He'll look for me again. Next time, he probably won't ask you to pass on this message. You don't have to pretend that you know him very well. The two of you are completely different, said Lingwu. You're right. It's just that the meaning behind it might be the other way around, said Yang Dingtian. After saying that, Yang Dingtian walked out directly and didn't pay any more attention to her. Sect Master, why don't I go and talk to her? Yunjena said in a low voice. It should be more effective if I offer my body. No need. We're very busy, Yang Dingtian said. But shouldn't we save anyone? Said Yunjena. Yang Dingtian turned around and said to Yunjenu. Jenu, perhaps in your heart I'm a leader, a just and selfless person, a person similar to a statue of a god. But I'm not. I'm just a mortal, and I have my own disgust. When I encounter something that I hate, I won't hurt it. But I'll try my best to avoid it. Do you understand? Just like you in the past. I used you, but I never thought of saving you. It's harm that saved you and awakened you. It's not me. Do you understand? Yunjena trembled and said in a low voice. I understand. Therefore, Lingwu's fate should be in her own hands. Whoever hurt her would be the one to save her soul. Even if this kind of saving is the most thorough harm. She'll either awaken from the harm, or die from the harm. Yang Dingtian said coldly. I only love the people I should love, and only care about the people I should care about. I'll save the majority, but I might not be able to take care of the minority. So be it, ignore her. Yunjena's beautiful face trembled slightly. I understand, Sect Master, Yunjena said. Someone wants to use the things you care about to hurt you. Someone wants to use everything about you as a weapon to attack you. Lingwu is one of them, and so is Vulture. He wants to defeat you mentally and ideologically. He wants to create a feeling that he wants to defeat you in the deepest part of your mental realm. Yes, that's right, Yang Dingtian said. However, I have to thank him. By doing this, he has exposed his true colors. Didn't you already know about his hypocrisy and shamelessness? Yunjena said. Now I know about it too. No, I'm talking about his true colors, Yang Dingtian said. I once asked him what he wants. I'm very concerned about this question. Now, I seem to have gotten the answer. What answer? Yunjena said. I'm not very sure now. I'll tell you when I'm sure, Yang Dingtian said. Then, he walked away. Yunjena stood at the same spot and said in a low voice, Sect Master, the weakness you showed made me feel that it's real. This kind of reality will make me more loyal and more convinced. There was a principle in this world. No matter how beautiful or resplendent something was, as long as it wasn't real, it would mean darkness. Back to the headquarters in Zhongjing. Yang Dingtian clearly knew that the battle between him and Wu Yuming had already begun. This battle would involve a wide range of things, including spiritual, ideological, practical, political, martial arts, and so on and so forth. Wu Yuming had asked Ling Wu to pass on the message. Don't call for a Taekwondo League meeting and don't let your ambitions devour you. Even Wu Yuming would disdain these words. This was merely a signal to start the battle. Now, there were more than 1 billion people and millions of soldiers in the entire Middle region. This was the battle between Yang Dingtian and Wu Yuming. If he didn't guess wrongly, there might not be any smoke in this first battle, because Wu Yuming hadn't shed all pretenses of cordiality. Only after shed all pretenses of cordiality would there be real smoke and blood. Before shed all pretenses of cordiality, Yang Dingtian only needed to grasp one point to deal with Wu Yuming. What was Wu Yuming's true colors? What did he want? Before he went to meet Ling Wu, his mind was in a mess. But now, it was clearer. Yang Dingtian stood in front of the map and looked at the center of the map. That was the Taekwondo League main hall. His mind gradually became clear. At this moment, Qin Huaiyu suddenly rushed in and said, Sect Master, a large-scale plague suddenly broke out in South Middle region. More than 10,000 people have died. Qin Wancho came in immediately after and said, It's starting. They've started. Zhua Qinqi said, I'll head to South Middle region immediately and wipe out their operation before it sprouts. Yang Dingtian said, No, you don't have to go. Use the normal method to seal off and cut off. Don't be disrupted. This is just a smoke screen. Everyone was stunned. Zhua Qinqi said. Then, where should our focus be? Zhongjing, especially the Taekwondo League main hall. Yang Dingtian said. We just need to be clear about one thing in this battle. What does Wu Yuming want? Then, what does he want? Qin Wancho asked. Chapter 600. Perhaps he is just tormenting me, Yang Dingtian said half-jokingly. Then Yang Dingtian said seriously, Send someone to South Central State to check on the situation of the plague. See clearly the situation of the people who are infected with the plague. Yang Dingtian took out a few booklets and said, Inside these booklets, there are many types of plagues related to the evil Tao. Furthermore, there are methods to treat and prevent them. Just use the medicine and don't panic. Yes. I'll make a trip there, Qin Huaiyu said and took the book and the Council of Light token. Then, Qin Huaiyu rode on the Devil Eagle and used his fastest speed to head south to South Central State to deal with the plague. Not long after Qin Huaiyu left. An hour later, someone quickly came to report that a serious plague had occurred in North Central State and more than 100,000 people had died. The entire North Central State was in a state of panic. Yang Dingtian took out another book. This book was originally obtained from Qin Chichi. When she was imprisoned, she described most of the evil ways of the plague and drew pictures. She also gave the treatment methods. Thus, Yang Dingtian made a lot of copies of this booklet just in case he needed it. At this moment, he handed the book to Zhu Hongxue and asked him to go to North Central State to deal with the plague. And Zhu Hongxue did not leave for long. He came to report again. A plague had occurred in Ningjing Island in the western part of Great Central State. Immediately, Yang Dingtian sent out Song Chunhua. Song Chunhua had not left for long. A plague had occurred in Gale Island in the southern part of Great Central State. Yang Dingtian sent out Duan Rian. Following that, the plague in the entire Great Central State rose and fell, continuously occurring. Later, the plague directly occurred in Great Central State and constantly approached Zhongjing. After Duan Rian, Qiu Wanjie. Then Song Xiao, then Kui Qing, and then Qin Hua Chou. Basically, every 2 hours or 4 hours, there would be a huge plague that would come. Finally, there was only one Dongfang Minmi left by Yang Dingtian's side. "Little Tian, this is a diversion," Dongfang Minmi said. "Someone wants to transfer all of your helpers away." Yang Dingtian shook his head. "Don't worry." Right at this time, Yunjenu came in at lightning speed and said with a pale complexion, "Sect Master, a plague happened in Heaven Wave City. It's less than 1,000 miles away from Zhongjing." Yang Dingtian. "They're finally here." He handed the booklet in his hand to Dongfang Minmi and said, "Master, you'll probably have to go this time." "No, you can't have no one by your side," Dongfang Minmi said. "This is his plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Trust me, that might not be the case," Yang Dingtian said. "How do you know?" Dongfang Minmi asked. Yang Dingtian. "If he knows, what is he going to do?" Then, he had to consider the problem from his point of view. "Master, go and save Pestilence, it's all right. Even those who seem to be dead can be saved. Our Council of Light has enough plague materials, especially Black Heaven Sect, they have even more resources. Sect Master, do you want to transfer Junior Uncle Wu Ying from Yin Yang School? Do you want me to transfer Mother and Father from Cloud Sky Pavilion?" Yun Zhenu asked anxiously. "No need," Yang Dingtian said. "There were more than 10 plague outbreaks in the entire Zhongjing continent, causing countless deaths and injuries. Previously, there was a storm, but now, there was lightning and thunder. The dark clouds and the shocking lightning caused the entire Zhongjing continent to be in a state of panic. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Countless people were like lambs, filled with fear and uneasiness. Under such an atmosphere, the leaders of the forces participating in the Tiando League still went to Zhongjing one by one. After all, they were important figures, and the plague could not harm them. Moreover, they had seen the plague attack clearly during Zhu Qingzhu's era. Although they did not know who did it, they had a rough idea of what was going on. There was only about 1 day left before the Tiando League. Midnight. The worst news had finally arrived. A total of 19 leaders from North Zhongjing, South Zhongjing, and East Zhongjing had suddenly disappeared on their way to the Tiando League. Just like when Kuei-si went missing, they disappeared from this world. No one knew what happened, and no one knew where they went missing. Moreover, these leaders were the ones who disrespected Yang Dingtian the most. They had attacked him many times. During the first war in Cloud Sky City, and the second war in Zhongjing Continent, these leaders were Yang Dingtian's staunchest opponents and attackers. After hearing the bad news, Yun Zhenu's face turned pale. She almost collapsed on her seat. Sect Master, how could they do this? How could they be so despicable? Yun Zhenu asked in a trembling voice. Now, what should we do? Don't worry, Yang Dingtian said. This should be the last wave of attack. You are the only one left with me. If they want me to send you out, I will be speechless. Yun Zhenu's lips trembled as she asked. Then what should we do now? Will they attack the headquarters directly and kill you? Kill me? Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, They won't. Let's go out for a walk. Now? No, it is too dangerous for you to go out. Yun Zhenu said. Don't worry, they won't, Yang Dingtian said. Before Wu Yuming comes to look for me, we have to meet someone. Then Yang Dingtian walked out. Yun Zhenu immediately followed him out in a panic. At this point in time, the streets of Zhongjing had been cordoned off. Other than the patrolling warriors, there was no one else in sight. almost all the citizens felt an extremely dangerous aura. All of them hid in their houses and did not dare to come out. Yang Dingtian walked forward confidently. Suddenly, Yunjena felt that this route was somewhat familiar. Sect Master, we are going to meet Ling Wu, Yunjena said. Yes, that's right, Yang Dingtian said. But didn't you say that you hate her very much and don't want to see her? Yang Dingtian asked. Yes, but I have no choice but to meet her, Yang Dingtian said. Thus Yang Dingtian met Ling Wu again. It had been almost 3 days since the last time they met. When he met Ling Wu again, her frailty had completely disappeared. Her eyes were burning with passion again. After seeing Yang Dingtian, her eyes lit up and were filled with fighting spirit at once. Yang Dingtian, you came at the right time. I have been thinking about your fallacies for the past few days. I have completely figured it out, Ling Wu said. Oh? Yang Dingtian said with a smile. I'm all ears. You said that I don't like to wear coarse clothes anymore and like to wear white brocade clothes. You said that my skin was dark and rough in the past, and now it is white and tender. You said that I was simple and wild in the past, and now I am pretending to be proud and noble. All of these are because I have forgotten my past and betrayed myself. You said that I have completely denied my past because of my inferiority complex. This is a kind of stupidity and depravity. Ling Wu sneered. What a brilliant fallacy. It has practically pierced the deepest part of my heart, making me bleed and in so much pain that I wish I was dead, Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Then, what do you think now? Ling Wu said. It's very simple. I only have one question for you. What were we humans like in the very, very ancient era? We were in the primitive society. I know what you want to say, Yang Dingtian said. But in order to not spoil your sense of achievement, you had better say it. In the primitive era, we humans didn't wear any clothes and completely exposed our bodies to the outside. There was no privacy at all. Yet, we didn't feel ashamed either. We ate everything, including our own kind. We didn't feel ashamed either. Later on, we ate tree leaves on the ship. Then we ate tree bark. Then we ate clothes. Ling Wu sneered and said word by word. Don't tell me you think that this is also a kind of forgetting the past and betraying myself? From being completely exposed to wearing animal skins and tree leaves, this is a kind of evolution. From wearing coarse clothes to wearing brocade clothes and satin, this is also a kind of evolution. Everyone has the power to yearn for a higher realm. I am no exception. Yet you regard my progressive behavior as a depravity, betrayal, and inferiority complex. This is the most absurd behavior. Yang Dingtian nodded. What a brilliant fallacy. It seemed as if it was really impeccable. A very brilliant theoretical counterattack. But it didn't come from you, Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Because the matters related to the primitive society of the primal chaos world are still not historical facts that you can come into contact with. Someone must have told you how to refute my theory. You don't have such a high standard. You should still have a way to transmit information to the outside world. Ling Wu's expression trembled slightly as she said. So what? In short, I'll refute your fallacy. Yang Dingtian sneered and said. Do you think that wearing coarse clothes to wearing brocade clothes is a kind of evolution? Of course. Everyone loves beauty, said Ling Wu. Yes, brocade clothes look better than coarse clothes. Everyone loves beauty. In the past, you liked red. But now you wear white because you feel that red is a little gaudy, right? Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Don't find excuses and don't change the topic, said Ling Wu. All right, let's go back to the topic. Everyone knows that brocade clothes are more beautiful than coarse clothes. Why do so many people still wear coarse clothes? Yang Dingtian said. It's very simple. Because brocade clothes are expensive, many people can't afford it, said Ling Wu. Yes, many people can't afford it, so they don't wear it. Then, when you wear coarse clothes, is it also because you can't afford silk and satin? At that time, although your family had undergone a drastic change, you were still rich and lived a life of luxury. That shouldn't be a problem, right? However, the only reason why you wear coarse clothes is because you view it as beautiful. Moreover, you were running a ship at that time. This was a kind of tiring labor. You viewed it as beautiful. Later on, a kind of extremely arrogant and illusory temperament appeared in front of you. You started to feel inferior and started to deny the beauty of labor and the beauty of simplicity. Therefore, you stopped running a ship. Instead, you changed to making clothes. Of course, using the fashionable words from our side, you are a fashion designer. That day, when Vulture and I headed to the central continent, we just happened to be on your ship. You stayed in the cabin almost all the time. You didn't come out to interact with the sailors or the passengers because you started to loathe and deny it. Yang Dingtian sneered and said, You said that going from coarse clothes to brocade clothes is a kind of evolution. Going from being exposed to the wind and sun to having snow-white skin is a kind of evolution. That's right, everyone yearns for a better life. However, they won't feel ashamed of their past labor and exhaustion. They won't deny their previous efforts. Betrayal is betrayal. Don't talk about evolution. You're talking nonsense. Ling Wu suddenly stood up and said sternly, You're talking nonsense. All right. I've come here for two matters. Firstly, I'm sure that the current you hates me to the bone because I've torn your inner heart apart. Therefore, you'll break through your bottom line next. You'll start to distort the truth and misrepresent a deer as a horse. Yang Dingtian said. Bullshit. Don't tarnish my noble character. Don't slander my upright character. Ling Wu said. Of course, I believe that's what you're thinking in your heart right now. However, when you're faced with the fact that you can bite me, you probably won't be able to resist this temptation. Especially when you're used to being righteous. Yang Dingtian said. All right, I won't argue with you anymore. You can see for yourself when the time comes. Secondly, I'll completely imprison you in a windowless dungeon. After that, you'll be cut off from all contact with the outside world. Yang Dingtian took out a snow-white jade box from his bosom and handed it to Ling Wu. This is for you. You can't open it now. However, when I release you and you see Wu Yuming again, you can open it. You're welcome to open it when the time comes. After that, Yang Dingtian ordered, Imprison Ling Wu in the dungeon. Don't let her communicate with the outside world, especially with a certain type of bird. Back to the headquarters in Beijing. At this moment, the sky had already begun to brighten. There were only a few hours left before the Tiando League conference. Sect Master, aren't you going to sleep? Yun Zhenu asked. The sky is about to brighten. I won't sleep. Perhaps someone will come looking for me soon, Yang Dingtian said. How did you know? Yun Zhenu asked. Yang Dingtian smiled. After an hour, there was a report from the outside. Sect Master, Wu Yuming requests to see you, Zhao Mu said. Yun Zhenu was stunned. All right, I'll go and see him, Yang Dingtian said. On the streets in the wee hours of the morning, other than the surveillance eyes, it was quiet. Yang Dingtian and Wu Yuming walked slowly, side by side. Wu Yuming, let me tell you. What exactly do you want? Yang Dingtian said. Wu Yuming said. Yang Dingtian, you think that your status will rise after taking over the central continent. You think that you can stand side by side with me and ask me this question, right? Yang Dingtian smiled. I'm sorry. I still can't answer you because your field of vision is too narrow. You're standing too low. You're still too insignificant. Wu Yuming said. Oh. Then why did you come to see me? Just to mock me? Yang Dingtian said. I'm here to tell you something. Wu Yuming said. What is it? I'm all ears. Yang Dingtian said. I'm warning you one last time. Don't hold the Tiando League Assembly. Wu Yuming said. No matter what reason you use, no matter how embarrassing it is, cancel the Tiando League Assembly. I've never lied. If you don't cancel it, you'll definitely regret it. Yang Dingtian smiled casually. Wu Yuming said. Yang Dingtian, I rarely speak so seriously, but every word I say is worth more than gold. If you don't listen to me, the consequences will be very serious. Yang Dingtian sneered. You've really put in a lot of effort to stop the Tiando League Assembly. 13 plagues broke out and countless people died. But I want to tell you, don't worry. Not that many people will die. I have enough measures to stop the plagues. I also have enough medicine to save those people. If nothing unexpected happens, the plagues have been stopped. Ning Wuming smiled faintly. Those plagues of yours all came from evil ways. I know all the types of plagues. How to prevent them, how to treat them, and even the medicine. Black Heaven's sect has already prepared enough. Yang Dingtian said. So what? Wu Yuming said casually. Also, a total of 19 leaders who came to participate in the Tiando League Assembly have disappeared. These people were my absolute opponents in the past. By making them disappear, not only can we destroy the Tiando League Assembly, but it can also make it easier to frame me in the future. Yang Dingtian said. Unfortunately, I've already sent Shadowless, Kuei-Si, and Yun Kalin to hide beside these people and replace them midway. Now, the experts you sent to kidnap these 19 leaders should have been captured or killed. These 19 leaders should be on their way to Zhongjing. Wu Yoming's face trembled slightly. Good move. Yang Dingtian sneered. So, you can't stop the Tiando League Assembly from being held. That's a pity. Wu Yuming said. I warned you not to hold the Tiando League Assembly. Otherwise, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I've already warned you. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. Goodbye. Instantly, Wu Yuming disappeared without a trace. After daybreak, Xu Hongxue, Qin Huayu, Qin Wanchou, Dong Fang Minmi, and the others all arrived one after another. Because of the booklet of evil ways and the sufficient medicine, the plagues were controlled in the shortest time possible. At first, the death toll of these plagues was very scary, but many people didn't really die. In the end, the total death toll was more than 170,000. That's right, it was still a very scary number, but it was much better than what they had expected. In fact, the Council of Light even won the hearts of many people because of this rescue operation. 4 hours before the start of the Heavenly Dao Union Conference, Shadowless, Kuei-Si, and Yun Kalin returned with the 19 missing leaders. Of course, they also caught the 5 attackers. So far, all of Wu Yoming's schemes had been defeated. It wasn't easy, Qin Huayu said. Sect Master, we finally defeated all of Wu Yoming's schemes and survived these difficult 5 days. The Tiando League Assembly can be held smoothly. Yes, no one can stop the Tiando League Assembly from being held. No one can stop the unification of the world. No one can stop the evil ways of preparing for war. Yang Dingtian said. As long as we achieve this goal, nothing else matters. Qin Huayu heard Yang Dingtian's voice and trembled slightly. Sect Master, we won, right? Yes, we won, Yang Dingtian said. Although we can't change some of the results, we still won. Of course, Wu Yuming might also think that she won, but I can only say that summer insects can't be compared to ice. How can sparrows and sparrows know the ambitions of swans? As for the results, we will see in the afternoon. In the afternoon, the Tiando League Assembly officially began. Chapter 601. The 3 sects, 9 clans, and 27 branches had been maintained for hundreds of years, and the names had not changed much. In these hundreds of years, some forces had risen, while others had declined. For example, Wooden Sword Castle, one of the original 9 clans, had wanted to attend the Yinyang School's worship ceremony, but it was difficult to pay for the travel expenses. Some forces were not part of the 3 sects, 9 clans, and 27 branches, but they were very powerful. For example, the Divine Weapons Villa and Cloud Sky City were not part of the 3 sects, 9 clans, and 27 branches. In the Tiando League's list of forces, other than the 3 sects, 9 clans, and 27 branches, there were more than 10 major forces. Sometimes there were more than 40, and sometimes there were more than 50. There were a total of 53 forces on the Tiando League's list. However, other than these 53 forces, there were many subsidiary forces that also belonged to the Tiando League. For example, the Autumn Water Sword sect was a subsidiary force of the Northwest Jin City, but it was still considered a member of the Tiando League. These subsidiary forces were not vassals. They were basically independent, or at least semi-independent. Each of them had a territory that ranged from 100 to 1,000 miles. There were more than 1,000 subsidiary forces like these. After Yang Dingtian came to this world, the Tiando League had held 2 large-scale meetings. Fortunately, both of them were against Yang Dingtian. The first meeting was to expel Cloud Sky City from the Tiando League and punish Yang Dingtian for his crimes against Dongfang Bingling. The second meeting was to punish Yang Dingtian for establishing the Council of Light to split the Tiando League and for the Central Continent to form an army to suppress the Western world. The third meeting, Yang Dingtian was still the main character of the Tiando League. However, this time, he was definitely the main character. Moreover, this Tiando League was completely different from the previous 2 meetings. For the first and second Tiando League meetings, only the first-tier Tiando League members participated. More than 1,000 subsidiary forces did not participate. Why? Because Yang Dingtian had set up the Central Committee. This was still an internal affair of the Tiando League. The Tiando League's general meeting would only be held during the war against the evil ways. All the members of the 1,000-plus affiliated factions would also participate. Therefore, this meeting was the real meeting. This was the first time in 200 years since the Doomsday War. The Tiando League will be held on the first floor of the Zhongjing Grand Hall. This was a ring-shaped hall. The 3 great sects sat at the highest position in the center of the hall. The leaders of the 9 clans were seated in the first row of the Great Hall. The 9 seats surrounded the 3 central clans. The 27 sects were in the second row. They formed a circle around the 9 sections. Next were the other forces and their subsidiary forces. One circle after another, one circle after another. There were a total of 1,539 seats, filling up the entire hall. It was the exact opposite of the cinema. The main hall here was the highest in the middle, and the further one went, the lower it would be. Therefore, the 3 central clan seats were at least 10 meters higher than the outermost seats. Especially the hidden sect seat in the middle. It was 3 meters higher than the Yin-Yang School and Black Heaven sect. Therefore, sitting in the center of the Great Hall gave one the feeling of being at the top of the world. This should be the center of power of this world. Billions of people, tens of millions of soldiers, and the rulers of millions of martial artists were all in this great hall. This was the first time Yang Dingtian sat on the highest seat in the center of the great hall. Dongfang Minmi sat on the left, and Zhuo Qinqi sat on the right. Dongfang Minmi stood up and said slowly, "The Tiando League's biggest meeting has officially begun. Leader of the hidden sect, please give the highest order." Yang Dingtian stood up and scanned the entire hall. This was the highest position in this world. It was more powerful than the ancient China Emperor and the United Nations. The territory of this world was many times larger than that of Earth. Yang Dingtian was forced and pushed to this position. When he sat down or stood up from his seat, he was a little excited, but he didn't feel too satisfied with what he was doing. He also did not feel like he was in control of the world. This was because he knew clearly that with his current strength, he was not qualified to sit in this position. When his strength was not compatible with the seat he was sitting on, he would feel his butt burning when he sat on it. However, Yang Dingtian had no other choice. It was Su Wupiao, his master, Yang Dingtian, Qin Wanchou, and even Zhu Qinzhu. They were the ones who pushed or helped Yang Dingtian, who was a fugitive from the Yin-Yang sect, to reach this position. They were the ones who allowed him, a mere 5-star 9th-grade Grandmaster, to sit in this position. Yang Dingtian noticed that the Vulture sect had also sent someone to sit on the left side of Northwest Jin City. However, Walingzi was not here. Only Lingxi was here. "Before we start, let me say a few words," Yang Dingtian said. "I feel that the position of this hall is not good. The middle is high and the sides are low. This way, I and the 3 sects can be high above. However, this way, I can't see many people in the back seats, and many people can't see me either. If we can't see each other in this kind of situation, there might be a problem. Therefore, in the future, I still suggest that the middle seat is low and the sides are high. This way, both sides can see each other clearly. Yang Dingtian's words won the favor of most people, but also the disdain of some people. The disdainful people thought that he indeed felt that he was not qualified to sit in this position. Little did they know that Yang Dingtian was really talking about the matter. This kind of arrangement was really inconvenient. Basically, Yang Dingtian could not see the people in the back rows. Alright, now that the small talk is over, let's talk business. Yang Dingtian said slowly. The first thing, I believe everyone knows. The demon king Weitian is about to be resurrected. Evil demon Prince Li Ming, Queen Devil Queen, and Princess Mudan, these three peak evil ways, are going all out to revive the demon king. The day Weitian revives is the day the world extermination army comes back. When these words were said, the expressions of the more than 1,000 people changed slightly, but they were not too shocked. Of course, they were not too shocked because this was the world extermination war that happened every 200 years. It was the same every time. Now it was time. Although it was scary, it was not surprising. Therefore, the first thing is to prepare for war. Now, I will announce the first Tiando League order. All members of the Tiando League in the Primal Chaos mainland, all 1539 forces in a territory of 200,000 miles, enter Level 1 war readiness. All members of the Tiando League are to stop expansion, conflict, and war. Stop all disputes. Train the army, reorganize the armaments, and prepare for the upcoming world extermination war. Now let's vote by a show of hands. Members of the three sects, let's vote. Raise your hands in agreement. Those who oppose, stand up. Those who remain silent, abstain. When these words were said, the representatives of the three sects all raised their hands in agreement. Members of the 9 sects, let's vote. Raise your hands in agreement. Those who oppose, stand up. Those who remain silent, abstain. When these words were said, almost everyone's gaze turned towards the Vulture sect. Currently, the 9 sects, Gene City, World Society, Cloud Sky Pavilion, and Earth-Splitting City were all in the hands of Yang Dingtian. The other 5 sects also followed the lead of the Black Sky sect and Yin-Yang School. Only the Vulture sect was an exception. Unfortunately, the Vulture sect was currently the strongest faction in the world. Only the Crepuscular Sea could contend with it. Unfortunately, the Crepuscular Sea had become the Vulture sect's absolute ally and in-law. Therefore, the Vulture sect's attitude was crucial. As expected, 8 of the 9 sects raised their hands. Only the Vulture sect's Ling Shi remained seated. As the host, Dong Fang Minmi said calmly, Vulture Palace, are you abstaining? Ling Shi smiled and slowly raised his hand. No, I agree. Then, he slowly raised his hand. There was no such thing as absolute democracy in any place or plane. The martial arts civilization of the Primal Chaos continent had some democratic genes, but that was only part of it. When it came to the internal voting of the Tiando League, 5 sects had a veto vote. These 5 sects were the 3 sects, the Vulture Palace, and the Northwest Gene City. As long as one of the sects vetoed any matter, the resolution would not pass. However, when it came to a matter of life and death like the Doomsday War, there was not much democracy. This vote was basically just a show of attitude. In fact, when it came to such matters, the leader of the hidden sect had the supreme power. Once the leader of the hidden sect gave the order to start the war or enter Level 1 war readiness, this matter would be passed directly. Any objections would be invalid. However, Yang Dingtian currently didn't have enough prestige and strength. He couldn't make the decision with a single word. Therefore, a large-scale vote was required. Even so, once the 3 sects all agreed, no one could overturn the situation. Now that the 3 sects and the 9 sects had all agreed, the next vote was just a formality. As expected, the 27 sects will vote. Raise your hands in agreement. Oppose, stand up. Silently abstain. Almost immediately, the 27 sects all raised their hands to vote. Of course, some of the 27 sects had already been destroyed, such as the White Cloud City. Therefore, that position would be empty. As for who would fill it, that would be discussed later. The remaining first-tier members of the Tyando League, vote! Swish, swish, swish! Everyone raised their hands in agreement. Second-tier members of the Tyando League, vote! Swish, 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 swish. More than 1,000 people raised their hands at the same time. The scene was spectacular. The first Tyando League order was officially passed. The chaotic world entered Level 1 war readiness. All forces were to stop all disputes, conflicts, and expansion. All forces were to reorganize and prepare for the world-ending war. Yang Dingtian. Now I announce the second Tyando League order. The Tyando League's Council of Light is officially reorganized as the highest authority during wartime. During the period of war readiness and war, the Council of Light has the highest authority over the military forces and resources of any Tyando League member. This includes commanding, mobilizing, adjusting, executing, and other military forces. Once this was said, many people's expressions changed. Although there was no mention of the internal affairs of the various forces, the Council of Light had the highest authority over military forces and military resources. Military resources covered a wide range: territory, money, crystals, etc. It covered almost everything. Of course, these military resources did not include martial arts secret manuals and mystic skills secret manuals. Previously, the Council of Light wanted to get the Cloud Sky Pavilion's crystal power and the Divine Weapons Mountain Villa's small crystal crossbows, but they couldn't get their hands on them. And with this order, the other party had to hand them over unconditionally. Of course, the Cloud Sky Pavilion and the Divine Weapons Mountain Villa had already voluntarily handed them over. Of course, the Council of Light had actually signed a secret agreement with the Divine Weapons Mountain Villa and the Cloud Sky Pavilion. Once the world-ending war ended, the Cloud Sky Pavilion had the right to withdraw all members of the secret technique of the crystal power and let the Cloud Sky Pavilion still have exclusive control over the crystal power. Moreover, all the members of the Council of Light who were in charge of the crystal power were from the Cloud Sky Pavilion. This project was also completely completed by the Cloud Sky Pavilion alone. The three major sects of the world, let's begin the voting. Raise your hands in agreement, stand up in opposition, or silently abstain. Without a doubt, the three sects all raised their hands in agreement. Then, everyone's gaze fell on the representative of the Vulture Palace. Because once they raised their hands in agreement, it meant that the Council of Light had the right to mobilize the Vulture Palace's Black Vulture Army. Of course, this was only on paper. Now, if the Council of Light wanted to mobilize the Vulture Palace's Black Vulture Army, it was purely wishful thinking. This time, everyone did not have to wait for long. The Vulture Palace's Ling Shi was the first to raise her hand in agreement. Then, the 9 sects all raised their hands in agreement. Next, the 27 sects all raised their hands in agreement. Finally, more than 1,000 people all raised their hands in agreement. There was no other way. Since the 3 sects and 9 sects had all agreed, no one dared to disagree. Not to mention the affiliated sects, even if the members of the 27 sects dared to abstain or object. Then the Tyando League would teach them how to behave in a matter of minutes. Because this was the highest will of the Tyando League. After the voting ended, Dongfang Minmi and Zhuo Qingqi immediately drafted the 2 highest orders of the Tyando League on the special energy jade. Written with special celestial qi energy, it would never be destroyed, could not be forged, and would be preserved forever. The 2 great grandmasters engraved the Heavenly Law Union's orders on the 1 square meter piece of jade, 1 word at a time. Dongfang Minmi wrote the first order, and Zhuo Qingqi wrote the second order. Then, Dongfang Minmi was the first to sign with special celestial qi energy, and Zhuo Qingqi was the second. The reason why Yang Dingtian did not sign was because the leader of the hidden sect needed to be the last to sign, and his name had to be written above all the members. Next, it was the 9 sects' turn to sign. These 2 pieces of jade were passed down one by one. Every sect's representative had to use special celestial chi energy to sign the name of the sect they belonged to. Yes, it was the sect, not their own name. Because this person might die, but the sect would usually last forever. And these few thousand recovery jades would record everything from the beginning to the end. A full 4 hours later, more than 1,000 people present had all signed their names. Then, these 2 pieces of jade were passed to Yang Dingtian. He wanted to write his name on all the signatures, and then these 2 highest orders would take effect and have the highest authority. From then on, the chaotic mainland would enter a new era. Yang Dingtian put his fingers together and released his unique chaotic celestial chi, and was about to sign on the jade. "Hold on!" Someone spoke, and then someone walked in slowly. Yang Dingtian pursed his lips. He had been waiting for this voice for a few hours. Chapter 602. Hold on! Almost instantly, everyone's gaze turned towards the source of the voice. It was Vulture Palace's Lingxi. Dongfang Minli said, "Representative of Vulture Palace, do you have any objections?" Lingxi said, "Preparing for the evil ways and establishing the Council of Light, Vulture Palace has no objections and fully supports it. But the last signatory should be the leader of Hidden Sect, right?" Dongfang Minli said, "That's right. His Excellency Yang Dingtian is the new leader of Hidden Sect." "Is that so?" Lingxi said. "What can prove that His Excellency Yang Dingtian is the leader of Hidden Sect?" Dongfang Minli said, "Thunder Mystic Skills, Hidden Sect's Ancient Sword, Whirling Calamity Sword Technique." Once he said this, everyone nodded. That's right, if there were only 1 or 2, it would not be enough to prove that Yang Dingtian was the leader of Hidden Sect. But 3 together was enough to prove it. "Then I'm curious," Lingxi said. "This Yang Dingtian is your disciple. How did he become the successor of Hidden Sect?" "Then whose disciple is he?" Dongfang Minli was about to speak again when Yang Dingtian stood up and said, "I'm the disciple of my master, Dongfang Minli, and always will be. I'm the successor of Hidden Sect because of 2 reasons. First, the pig-slaying swordsmanship that I learned is the highest martial arts of Hidden Sect. It was created by the ancient savior, Shiwu Piaoyan. After the ancient nihility was destroyed, the Shiwu family passed it down from generation to generation and established Hidden Sect." Once Yang Dingtian said this, the entire place was shocked. Hidden Sect was the most mysterious force in the world. Almost no one knew its origin. Now Yang Dingtian said that Hidden Sect was created by the ancient savior. This was a secret that no one knew. Second, I believe everyone here has heard of the change of yin-yang mirror. This secret was not made public, but many people know about it. The previous leader of Hidden Sect demonized and became the Queen Devil Queen. Before she demonizes, passed the position of the Hidden Sect to me. Then, Yang Dingtian took out the crystal arrow that Shiwu Piaoyan had given her and said, "This arrow belongs to the previous master of the Hidden Sect, Shiwu Piaoling. I believe many people know about it." Yang Dingtian injected profound qi. Suddenly, a shadow gradually floated out of the crystal sword. It was the previous master of the Hidden Sect, Nihility Piaoling. Rhinoceros asked, "According to what you're saying, you were appointed as the successor by Nihility Piaoling at the last minute?" "Right," Yang Dingtian said. "Then that's strange. Why did she need to appoint you as her successor? She's already over 200 years old. Within these 200-odd years, they should have already decided on a successor. Why do they have to be in such a hurry?" Lingxi asked. Yang Dingtian's face twitched. This was the most painful part of his heart. He didn't want to face it, but he had to. Her original successor was Dongfang Bingling, Yang Dingtian said. As soon as these words came out, there was another round of exclamations. However, they felt that it was reasonable and didn't feel too surprised. Why? Because Dongfang Bingling's martial skills were too high level, she had not made any progress until she was a teenager. Her talent was almost the highest in the entire chaotic world. However, When she was a teenager, her cultivation did not make any breakthrough. So, she was humiliated in the Yinyang school. Then, she ran away from home and disappeared from the world. When she reappeared, Dongfang Bingling had become a bright star. She had become the fairy of the ninth heaven and the immortal of the world. Therefore, although everyone was shocked, they were not surprised that Dongfang Bingling was the successor of the hidden sex Nihility Piaoling. Then why did she pass it to you at the last minute? Rhinoceros asked. Because Dongfang Bingling was implanted with the soul-devouring devil beast, which activated the first-grade evil spirit in her body. She demonized into Princess Mudan, Yang Dingtian said. As soon as these words came out, it was as if a nuclear bomb had been dropped. Everyone was completely shocked. Nihility Piaoling demonized. Dongfang Bingling demonized. This wasn't a secret to the top echelons of the Tiando League. However, it was still an absolute secret to most people. Now that it was revealed, everyone was truly shocked to the point of despair. Even the previous master and successor of the hidden sect had become part of the evil Tao. What hope was there for this doomsday war? Previously, everyone had great hopes for Yang Dingtian and the Council of Light. This was because Yang Dingtian had defeated Qin Shiqi, Zhu Qingzhu, Ning Wuming, and even wiped out the Ning clan and Joyous Palace. Now, it seemed that the evil Wei's forces in the Primal Chaos mainland had been wiped out. Therefore, everyone had great hopes for Yang Dingtian's victory. As for the demon King Wentian, of course, he was powerful. However, everyone was doubtful about his resurrection. Now that they heard that even the previous hidden sect leader and Dongfang Bingling had demonized, what hope was there for this war? Instantly, countless people's morale fell. Then where's the evidence? Rhinoceros said. You said that Nihility Piaoling passed the hidden sect leader to you before he demonized. Where's the evidence? Just relying on the crystal sword won't do. Did you record the scene at that time? No, Yang Dingtian said. Rhinoceros smiled. No. Then I'll sort it out. You said you're the hidden sect leader and gave several pieces of evidence. First, your pig-slaying swordsmanship was created by the hidden sect's ancestor, Nihility Piaoyen. You're the only one who learned it. Second, you have the hidden sect's ancient sword and Nihility Piaoling's crystal sword. Third, you know the swaying Calamity Crossing sword. Fourth, Nihility Piaoling passed the position of sect leader to you before he demonized. Fifth, and the most important, you have thunder talent. You know thunder mystic skills. Am I right? That's right. Other than the order, Yang Dingtian said. Rhinoceros said, All right, then I'll refute you one by one. First, the pig-slaying swordsmanship was created by the hidden sect's ancestor, Nihility Piaoyen. Do you have evidence? Yang Dingtian said. No. Rhinoceros smiled and said, Second, the hidden sect's ancient sword and Nihility Piaoling's crystal sword are all real. But in the last Doomsday War, the hidden sect leader bestowed large amounts of personal belongings to those who made outstanding contributions in the Tiando League. Therefore, a considerable amount of them were lost in the world. Yang Dingtian nodded. Rhinoceros said, Third, you know the swaying Calamity Crossing sword. From what I know, there are many ways to achieve the special effect of the swaying Calamity Crossing sword. I know how to do it too. Do you need me to perform it again? No need. I believe you can perform it, Yang Dingtian said. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, Fourth, Nihility Piaoling passed the position of sect leader to you. It's all just your words. You don't have any evidence, right? Yes, Yang Dingtian said. The fifth one is also the most important one. Everything else could be faked, but no one could fake the lightning elemental talent. Thunder talent is 1 in a billion. Therefore, thunder talent has become the symbol of the hidden sect's successors. You know thunder mystic skills. Therefore, no one has any doubts about your identity as the hidden sect's successor. Rhinoceros said with a smile. But if I remember correctly, you went to the Five Elements Hall's secret realm once. The final checkpoint there is a sky full of lightning. Those who pass will be rewarded with Thunder Mystic Talismans. As long as you swallow the Thunder Mystic Talisman, you will possess Thunder Talent. Therefore, your Thunder Talent comes from the 5 Elements Hall's secret realm, and not from yourself. After you obtained the Thunder Mystic Talisman, your ambition grew, and you immediately had the thought of pretending to be the Hidden Sex Successor. Therefore, you pretended to be the Hidden Sex Successor, Wu Ming, and swindled away the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship from the Yinyang school. I'm not wrong, am I? Then, Rhinoceros did not wait for Yang Dingtian to speak and said loudly, Do you dare to let me summon the relevant witness? Do you dare to let me tear off your mask in front of the Tiendo League members? Sure, Yang Dingtian said. Ha! Rhinoceros laughed loudly and said, You don't dare! The most important witness is Ling Wu. In the West Continent, you tried to get rid of her. However, you were greedy for her beauty, so you put her under house arrest. Later on, she escaped. However, you didn't expect that after she escaped to the Central Continent, you used a scheme to make Zhu Qingzhu and Ning Wuming kill each other. You used a scheme to defeat Zhu Qingzhu, and took control of the Central Continent. She still couldn't escape from your evil claws because she knew your fatal secret. Therefore, you captured her again a few days ago and imprisoned her. Unfortunately, I've already rescued her. Summon the witness! Rhinoceros shouted loudly. Zhui Qingqi and Dong Fang Minmi were just about to stop him. This was really undisguised shamelessness. Wu Yuming and the Vulture Palace wanted to carry out a terrifying attack on the Central Continent. Therefore, Yang Dingtian had no choice but to put Ling Wu under house arrest because she had a very close relationship with Wu Yuming. In this place, it became Yang Dingtian was afraid that Ling Wu would divulge Yang Dingtian's secret. Moreover, he was greedy for her beauty and couldn't kill her. Therefore, he imprisoned her. As expected, Ling Wu was rescued by someone. She walked in slowly under the protection of the Vulture Palace's experts. Moreover, there wasn't only one witness. There was also an acquaintance. Shimin Ju also walked in as a witness. He was really an undying cockroach. Ning Wuming was annihilated, but he didn't die. Then, he turned around and sought refuge with the Vulture Palace and Wu Yuming. In order to make Ling Wu keep the secret, Yang Dingtian tempted her many times with glory, splendor, and wealth. For example, marrying her as a concubine, bestowing a castle, and bestowing a large territory. However, Miss Ling Wu was upright and noble. She rejected all of them and abandoned the glory, splendor, and wealth of the West Continent to escape to the Central Continent. She only made clothes for a living. Vulture sighed and said, Here, please allow me to represent the world's righteous path to express my greatest respect to Miss Ling Wu. After he finished speaking, Rhinoceros stood up and bowed deeply to Ling Wu. Ling Wu's face suddenly trembled, and her gaze became blurred. Miss Ling Wu, are you willing to take responsibility for what you're going to say next? Rhinoceros asked. Ling Wu hesitated for a moment before she gritted her teeth and said, I'm willing. Rhinoceros said, Didn't you meet Yang Dingtian on Inferno Island that day and rescue him? Moreover, when you met him, wasn't he cultivating lightning-type profound skills? Coincidentally, the 5 Elements Hall's secret realm just happened to be on Inferno Island. Yang Dingtian was expressionless as he looked at Ling Wu. In the dungeon, he once said to Ling Wu, You might still scrupulously abide by integrity and fairness now, but you hate me to the bone. Once you have the chance to take revenge, you'll definitely break through your bottom line, invert black and white, and turn a deer into a horse. Therefore, Ling Wu's complexion instantly turned ghastly pale, and her entire body turned ice cold. At that time, she still felt that it was beneath contempt. But now Yang Dingtian's words were like an arrow that pierced her heart. Rhinoceros's words were filled with many traps. For example, it was Ling Wu who took Yang Dingtian away from Inferno Island, and Rhinoceros said that she rescued him. When Ling Wu met Yang Dingtian, he was cultivating his profound energy underwater, and he said that he was cultivating lightning-type profound skills. Rhinoceros said, Miss Ling Wu, please answer me yes or no? Yang Dingtian was still looking at Ling Wu. This woman's ending would be completely decided at this moment. Would she completely fall into the abyss and be destroyed, or would she climb up the cliff with one hand? Ling Wu's entire body was trembling, and her entire mind was practically blank. Miss Ling Wu, you can just tell the truth. No one can harm you, said Rhinoceros. Yes, I met Yang Dingtian on Inferno Island. Ling Wu gritted her teeth and said. After that, she repeatedly told herself in her heart, I'm not lying. I didn't turn a deer into a horse and invert black and white. I indeed met Yang Dingtian on Inferno Island. However, this kind of deception to herself was lamentable and laughable. That's right, she indeed didn't lie on the surface, but she was indeed cooperating with Rhinoceros. Then when exactly was it? Asked Rhinoceros. The 3rd day of the 5th month 2 years ago, said Ling Wu. Thank you, Miss Ling Wu. Rhinoceros said. Thank you for your honesty and integrity. Rhinoceros said. And coincidentally, on the 25th day of the 5th month, the hidden sex disciple, Wu Ming, stopped the Northwest Tiando League from punishing Cloud Heaven City. Furthermore, he took away the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship from Cloud Heaven City's elder Yan Yen. Rhinoceros looked toward Shimin-ju and said, Witness Shimin-ju. At that time, did the hidden sex disciple, Wu Ming, take away the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship from Cloud Heaven City's great elder Yan Yen? I wasn't in Cloud Heaven City at that time, but Elder Yan Yen indeed said that the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship was taken away by the hidden sex disciple, Wu Ming. Said Shimin-ju. Rhinoceros smiled and said, That's strange. Why would the hidden sex disciple be so fond of Cloud Heaven City? Why would he specially go to save Cloud Heaven City? The pig-slaying swordsmanship was only cultivated by Yang Dingtian alone. Why would the hidden sex disciple take away the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship? What's even more ridiculous is that there's only one pig-slaying swordsmanship in the entire world. It was clearly in Wu Ming's hands, but in the end, Yang Dingtian learned the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship? That proves one thing. The so-called hidden sex disciple, Wu Ming, is Yang Dingtian impersonating him. Once these words were spoken, it was like a thunderbolt that stabbed towards Yang Dingtian. Everyone in the main hall focused their gazes on Yang Dingtian, waiting for his explanation. Yang Dingtian, this place is fair and impartial. You can explain, said Rhinoceros. No, I'd better not explain. I won't interrupt your rhythm. You can continue, said Yang Dingtian. At this moment, Rhinoceros was slightly stunned. Her gaze trembled. Yang Dingtian's reaction was too calm. If you're not going to explain, I'm going to conclude. Don't regret it. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance, said Rhinoceros. It's fine. You can continue, said Yang Dingtian. All right then. Rhinoceros yelled out. My conclusion is that everything you said is fake. You're not the hidden sex disciple. What pig-slaying swordsmanship was created by the hidden sex ancestor is just your boasting. Your thunder attribute talent completely came from the thunder attribute mystic talisman in the 5 Elements Hall mystic realm. Your hidden sex ancient sword and the so-called swaying calamity crossing sword are all fake. You learned them from Dugu Fengwu. Everyone knows that many people know how to use special effects to imitate the swaying calamity crossing sword. Especially people from evil ways. You have 5 pieces of evidence to prove that you're the hidden sex patriarch. Now, my piece of evidence has been refuted as worthless by me. I'm asking you to explain, but you can't find any excuses. Rhinoceros said. I also have 2 very important witnesses. All these prove that you're not the hidden sex patriarch. You're just an ambitious person who deceived the entire world. You're trying to usurp the highest authority of the entire Tiando League. Your crimes are unforgivable and should be executed by 1,000 cuts. Once these words were out, everyone was shocked. Rhinoceros revealed a cold smile. This made everyone recall what Wu Yuming said to Yang Dingtian. Don't hold the Tiando League assembly when you go. Otherwise, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Yang Dingtian, what else do you have to say? Rhinoceros said sternly. Yang Dingtian said, You haven't finished your last words. Continue. Rhinoceros's expression changed again and said, Yes, I still have one last thing to say. In this world, there's indeed a hidden sex disciple, the personal disciple of Nihility Piaoling. However, that person isn't you. It's the Netherworld Sea's young lord, Wu Yuming. After that, Rhinoceros said loudly, Let's welcome the true master of the hidden sect, Wu Yuming. Instantly, the doors of the main hall slowly opened. The incomparably handsome Wu Yuming, who looked like an immortal, entered slowly in his snow-white robe. Even at this moment, he was holding his wife, Vulture's hand as if he was walking into a hotel instead of the Zhongjing main hall. For many of the people present, it was their first time seeing Wu Yuming. They couldn't help but be completely impressed by his elegance. Wu Yuming and Vulture walked to the center of the main hall. He said gently to Vulture, You go sit on the side for a while. I'll have a few words with your brother Yang Dingtian. Be careful of him, Vulture said. Don't be too righteous and kind. That will only make you a target for bullying. Wu Yuming walked up the stairs step by step to the center of the main hall. Brother Yang Dingtian, come here. Let's talk for a while, Wu Yuming said. Okay. Yang Dingtian smiled. Then, he got up from his seat and walked to Wu Yuming's side. Wu Yuming really had ulterior motives. When the two of them stood together, regardless of appearance or demeanor, it was like heaven and earth, the difference between cloud and mud. At once, it made people feel that only Wu Yuming's demeanor was worthy of the title of Master of the Hidden Sect. Yang Dingtian's image was too ordinary. One look and it was obvious that he didn't look like it. Brother Yang! In this world, if I were to find someone I admire, it would definitely be you. Wu Yuming and Yang Dingtian stood side by side. He smiled and said, Your talent, your wisdom, I admire them all. Although Wu Yuming's voice wasn't loud, everyone could hear him. However, there was another sound coming from his stomach. Only Yang Dingtian could hear it. His other voice sneered. Yang Dingtian, I told you before. I told you to never, ever hold a Tiando League meeting. Otherwise, the consequences would be very tragic. You would regret it for the rest of your life. In the end, you didn't listen. Now you finally know. Yang Dingtian smiled and nodded. I am a carefree person. I don't care about power and status. Therefore, I don't really care about the position of Master of the Hidden Sect. Wu Yuming said in a voice that everyone could hear. Therefore, since a long time ago, you have been using the name of Master of the Hidden Sect to do things. Although I wasn't too happy, I felt that it wasn't easy for you. Therefore, I didn't expose you because I don't care about this position. Hee hee, Yang Dingtian. Wu Yuming's other voice was filled with infinite coldness. I will let you climb to the peak first. Then I will let you fall. It must be very painful and tragic. You have the world in your hands one moment, and in the next moment, you have nothing and your reputation will be ruined. Yang Dingtian was still smiling as he listened to Wu Yuming's words. Wu Yuming continued to speak loudly. However, I have no choice but to stand up today. Brother Yang, your ambition is too big. It's fine if you take away the position of Master of the Hidden Sect that belongs to me. However, you can't usurp the highest authority of the Tiando League. You can't drag the entire Tiando League into the abyss. Therefore, for the sake of the world, I have no choice but to stand up. I'm sorry. Ha ha ha, Yang Dingtian, that's right. You are the Master of the Hidden Sect. I am not. Wu Yuming's cold voice continued to resound in Yang Dingtian's ears. However, I can easily distort the truth. I can take away everything that belongs to you. More than a dozen plague attacks and the kidnapping of 19 participants. This series of events is all fake. It's all a smokescreen. I just want you to think that you have won and successfully convened the Tiando League conference. Then, I will take away everything that belongs to you. Ling Wu loved you in the past, right? I can easily brainwash her and make her betray you. I can make her ruthlessly stab a knife into your heart. Vulture admired you in the past, right? She slept with you, was like your brother and sister, and faintly admired you. However, I can easily snatch away her heart. Now, she despises you even more. Yang Dingtian, you can't compare people with each other. I have said this long ago. I am at the peak of the mountain, and you are like an ant on the ground. I can't even be bothered to talk to you because the difference between us is too great. I can easily crush you to death with just a finger. However, that will make you feel too comfortable. If I want to play, I will play you until you wish you were dead. Yang Dingtian had asked Wu Yuming several times about his motive and what he wanted. After that, he understood after meeting Ling Wu for the first time. Even though this result was absurd, it was the correct result. Wu Yuming's motive was to trample on Yang Dingtian. It was to torture Yang Dingtian. After he understood this point, everything became clear as to what he wanted to do. Therefore, it wasn't strange for such a scene to happen now. Yang Dingtian didn't have any reaction to Wu Yuming's words. However, Song Xiao below was as violent as fire. He was almost deceived. As for Kuei Si, his entire body was trembling, and his face had turned green. Especially Kuei Si. He had long known about Wu Yuming's hypocrisy and viciousness. Wu Yuming, you keep saying that you are the hidden sex master. What evidence do you have? Say it. Don't talk nonsense. Song Xiao said furiously. Don't put on such a disgusting performance. It disgusts me. Wu Yuming's eyes revealed a trace of pain and said, I really don't want to show any evidence in order to prove myself. That will make me feel like I am putting on a monkey show. However, I shall be humiliated today. Wu Yuming said indifferently. What are the most important pieces of evidence for the hidden sex master? Guild Master Song, tell me. Song Xiao said. Lightning attribute innate talent, hidden sex swordsmanship, the evidence of the previous hidden sex master's inheritance, and the sect master's keepsake. Wu Yuming said indifferently. Yang Dingtian doesn't have the evidence of the previous hidden sex master's inheritance. You didn't ask for it, but you asked for it from me. Is this fair? Chapter 603. I believe many people recognize this sword. Wu Yuming raised the sharp sword in her hand and gently inserted her mystic qi. Instantly, the sword blade emitted a 5-colored radiance. Like a dragon or a phoenix, it roamed the horizon. Before Nihility Piao Ling's sect master forged the soul sword and cultivated the sword's soul, he used this 5-splendor sword. Wu Yuming said, This isn't an ordinary hidden sex ancient sword. It is Nihility sect master's personal sword. Everyone looked at the 5-splendor sword in a daze. That's right, this sword was indeed one of Nihility Piao Ling's personal swords. Nihility Piao Ling would usually carry 3 swords, and the 5-splendor sword was one of them. No one expected it to be in Wu Yuming's hands. Immediately after, Wu Yuming said indifferently, Hidden sex sword art, swaying calamity crossing sword. Previously, I was worried that Brother Yang would feel awkward, so I didn't use it. Today, I will let everyone see the true swaying calamity crossing sword. Finishing her statement, Wu Yuming's body gently bounced, and the artifact sword in her hand was gently thrown out. Swaying calamity crossing sword's first sword, River Tears. Wu Yuming floated up gently and floated in the air. The sharp sword in her hand gently revolved and turned. One round, and another round. Every lap seemed to be the same, but every lap seemed to be different. After 9 rounds, Wu Yuming floated back gently. These 9 circles were still condensed in the air and didn't dissipate for a long time. At this moment, Ling Si casually threw out a sharp sword, which pierced through one of the circles. Bang! In an instant, this iron sword that pierced through the circle was instantly smashed into pieces. Dugu Fengwu also knew this move, but she used her mystic qi to forcefully create the effect. It only had the form and not the spirit. With a single glance, Yang Dingtian could tell that Wu Yuming's Tears of the River was much more superior than Dugu Fengwu's. Next was the second move, Soul Departing Mirror. Wu Yuming's sword art was once again much more superior than Dugu Fengwu's. Her sword easily sliced the entire space in the Grand Hall, and then distorted and deformed. Immediately, everyone saw that everything in front of them had become strange and bizarre. The image of the entire hall seemed to have been cut into countless pieces before being randomly reassembled. Some were stretched, some were twisted. Everyone present had only heard of this sword technique, and had never seen it before. A set of sword techniques could actually distort and cut the entire space. This was simply unheard of. In this world, only the hidden sex swordsmanship could achieve this. Today was truly an eye-opener for him. Then the third move, the fourth move, the fifth move, all the way until the ninth move. After the swaying calamity crossing sword was completed, Wu Yuming floated back to her original position and stood beside Yang Dingtian. At this moment, everyone seemed to be in a daze and had not awakened from his swordsmanship. Looking at Wu Yuming's ethereal figure, he suddenly felt that the person in front of him should be the true successor of the hidden sect. This set of sword skills could only be used by the disciples of the hidden sect. Wu Yuming said, "Next, it should be the most important thing, the lightning element." He sheathed his sword and stretched out his finger. At this moment, everyone then noticed Wu Yuming's hand. Slender like jade, although it was the same size as a man's hand, in terms of shape and skin color, it was more exquisite than a woman's hand. Her finger tapped lightly. Pa! Instantly, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky. Without a doubt, this was lightning element energy. This is not some lightning element mystic skill, it's just lightning element energy, the release of lightning element innate talent. Wu Yuming smiled. Everyone nodded their heads. That's right, this was definitely lightning element energy. Wu Yuming displayed 3 pieces of evidence. Nihility Piaoling's personal sword, hidden sex sword technique swaying calamity crossing sword, and lightning element innate talent. Finally, he looked towards Yang Dingtian. Brother Yang, you said that Nihility Piaoling had passed the position of sect master to you and asked you to show evidence. You don't have it, right? But I do. Wu Yuming took out the recovery jade and held it in her hand as she gently inserted her mystic chi. Instantly, a huge light figure appeared in the sky above the main hall. At first, the light figure was blurry and distorted. Later on, it gradually became clear. Everyone saw a peerlessly beautiful woman. Many people had never seen her in person, but they had seen her portrait. Furthermore, they had seen her image in the recovery jade from 200 years ago. Hence, they could recognize at a glance that this woman was Nihility Piaoling. She had not aged at all. She was still as beautiful as 200 years ago. Then, Wu Yuming appeared in the image. He came in front of Nihility Piaoling and slowly knelt down. Disciple Wu Yuming greets Master. Nihility Piaoling stretched out her jade hand and slowly said, Get up! The image ended. Everyone instantly held their breaths. All of their gazes looked towards Yang Dingtian alone. This was a fatal blow. The previous Nihility Piaoling's personal sword, swaying calamity crossing sword, and lightning element energy were nothing. Only this recovery jade image was an absolutely fatal blow. It was absolutely irrefutable evidence. While Yang Dingtian said that Nihility Piaoling had passed the position of sect master to him, he had no evidence. In comparison, almost everyone's balance had turned towards Wu Yuming. They felt that Wu Yuming was the real hidden sect disciple, and Yang Dingtian, although he was incomparably heroic, but he was really a fake. At this moment, Wu Yuming's face was filled with pain and helplessness. Only Yang Dingtian could read the extremely pleased smile in his eyes. The worst outcome that Yang Dingtian was worried about had happened. Vulture Sect and Netherworld Sea had completely leaned towards the Temple of Annihilation. So, Wu Yuming's disappearance for the past few months was not to bring Vulture back to Netherworld Sea to meet his mother. Instead, he went to find the Queen Devil Queen. No one could fake the recovery jade. So, this video was real. But this video was just recorded not long ago. The Nihility Piaoling in this video was no longer Nihility Piaoling, but the demonized Queen Devil Queen. The 5 Splendor sword in Wu Yuming's hand was also just bestowed by her. And his swaying calamity crossing sword might also have just been learned. This meant that the Vulture Sect and Netherworld Sea, the 2 most transcendent and mysterious powers, had completely leaned towards the Temple of Annihilation. After Li Ming's lackey Ning Wuming had been completely destroyed, Zhu Qingzhu had completely given up. Seeing that Yang Dingtian was about to unify the world, he had fully prepared for the evil ways and the war of annihilation. The Temple of Annihilation felt that something was amiss, so they finally compromised with the Netherworld Sea and Vulture sect and made some kind of deal. At this most crucial moment, the Vulture sect and Netherworld Sea had finally stood on the same side. In this deal, no one knew what the Vulture sect and Netherworld Sea had gained, but they had definitely gained a lot. At the very least, if Wu Yuming succeeded, then the entire Tiando League would belong to the Netherworld Sea and Vulture sect. Previously, they had enslaved Ning Wuming and forced Zhu Qingzhu to sign the humiliating agreement to obtain the biggest bargaining chip. Now, one of them had died, and the other had given up. Yang Dingtian had really appeared out of nowhere, and Wu Yuming had no choice but to move from behind the scenes to the front stage. Of course, this was only Yang Dingtian's guess. Perhaps the truth was far more unfathomable than this. There was one point that Yang Dingtian still could not understand. From the moment Wu Yuming appeared, she had been using all kinds of ways to torture and trample on him. Why was that? She was a genius and should not have cared about him. Why was she so against him? Lingxi said slowly. Now that the evidence is irrefutable, why isn't everyone coming to greet the leader of the hidden sect and the new leader of the Tiando League? Then, Lingxi was the first to kneel. Vulture Palace greets the leader of the hidden sect, Her Excellency Wu Yuming. 7 Refined Lane's first Madame Gongsun greets the leader of the hidden sect, Her Excellency Wu Yuming. Horizon City greets the leader of the hidden sect, Her Excellency Wu Yuming. Countless people knelt down one after another. In the end, almost half of the entire Zhongjing Grand Hall had knelt down. That's right, half of the people had knelt down. Yin-Yang School and Black Heaven sect stood still, supporting Yang Dingtian. Among the 9 factions, Qin City, Tianxia Society, Fisher City, Cloud Sky Pavilion, Ran Valley, and Jade City also stood still. Out of the 9 factions, 6 supported Yang Dingtian, and 3 supported Wu Yuming. Ran Valley was the Yin-Yang School's absolute supporter. Bu City was very close to the Mystic Heaven sect, but it was only very close. It was truly surprising that she was standing on Yang Dingtian's side. As for the 27 factions, a total of 9 factions knelt down to greet Wu Yuming. The remaining 17 factions all stood, supporting Yang Dingtian. Out of the 53 first-tier factions of the Tiando League, 18 factions knelt down to support Wu Yuming. The remaining 35 factions all supported Yang Dingtian. Oh, there was also Shiminju, leading the exiled Cloud Sky City. There were also a few others who led the exiled Autumn Water Sword sect and Cloud Sky City. They also knelt down to support Wu Yuming. However, out of the remaining 1,000-odd factions affiliated to the Tiando League, almost half of them supported Wu Yuming. Lingxi looked at the people standing and said slowly, Sect Master Dongfang, Sect Master Zhua, are you trying to go against your master and distort the truth? Are you trying to rebel and completely split the Tiando League? Bullshit. Song Xiao said loudly. I don't care who Wu Yuming is. I knew it. Our Council of Light only recognizes one master, and that is His Excellency Yang Dingtian. The Council of Light will not recognize any other Tom, Dick, or Harry, even if they are God. Song Xiao, are you trying to rebel? Lingxi said angrily. So what if I'm rebelling? With Song Xiao's violent temper, he slammed the table and said sternly, Wu Yuming, that bastard, pretentious and disgusting. One look and I know he's not a good person. I only have one thing to say. He's either a demon or a ghost. You want me to be loyal to him? Dream on. Hearing Song Zhao's direct attack, Wu Yuming's face finally twitched slightly. At this time, Earth-Splitting City's Koisi also stood up slowly and said, I'd like to make it clear here. Earth-Splitting City is a member of the Tiando League's Council of Light. I'm only loyal to His Excellency Yang Dingtian. As for a certain deity's face, I've already seen through it. I'm disgusted to this day. I feel disgusted just by looking at him. Let's not talk about greeting him. Kuei's words were even more vicious. Bullshit, how dare you talk about my husband like that? I'll kill you, I'll kill you. Little Princess Vulture was instantly enraged. She pulled out her sword and said sternly, My husband is 1,000 times better than Yang Dingtian. My husband is righteous and righteous, upright and selfless. Yang Dingtian, on the other hand, is ambitious and only knows how to use hypocrisy to brainwash people. Not to mention other things, you even snatched the wife of your subordinate. Don't you think so? Yang Dingtian, tell me yourself. Did you snatch Qin Huaiyu's wife, Ning Roer? You still want to be loyal to such a shameless person? What a joke! When she said this, everyone was shocked and looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. In everyone's hearts, even if Yang Dingtian pretended to be the leader of the hidden sect, it was to fight against the evil ways. He was still a hero. However, if what Vulture said was true and Yang Dingtian snatched the woman of his loyal subordinate, then he was worse than a beast. Yang Dingtian, tell me directly. Did you snatch Ning Roer to be your concubine? Yes or no, tell me directly. Vulture pointed at Yang Dingtian and said sternly, Shut up, you little bitch! Qin Huaiyu suddenly stood up and said sternly, If you continue to distort the truth, I will tear you into pieces. Ha ha ha, Qin Huaiyu, you are really a coward. Your woman was snatched and Yang Dingtian made a cuckold. You dare to be angry but don't dare to say anything. Vulture sneered. Qin Huaiyu was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He grabbed his sleeves and slashed down with his sword. He said coldly, Vulture, before I say anything, I will sever all ties with you. From now on, you and I will no longer have any feelings for each other, only enemies. Hee whatever. Vulture sneered. I don't want to be associated with you. I will ask you one question. Did Yang Dingtian snatch your woman? Qin Huaiyu was attending the meeting as an officer of the Council of Light, so his seat was very far back. He came to Sky Phoenix Pavilion's Duanruyan and knelt down to kowtow. Then, he looked at everyone and said, In the past, I was a despicable and shameless person. 8 years ago, I went to the southwest continent to search for the treasure left behind by Li Tianxiao. I met Sky Phoenix Pavilion's female disciple, Ning Roer. I had evil thoughts and forcefully molested her, making her pregnant with my child. When these words were said, everyone's expressions changed. Qin Huaiyu actually admitted to his molestation in front of countless people. After that, I returned to Qin City directly. As for Miss Ning Roer, she lost all her cultivation and was left with a daughter, my daughter. Qin Huaiyu said. Later, Ling Yanmei rebelled under my Qin City's instigation. My father imprisoned Pavilion Master Duan Ruyan. When these words were said, it was like a thunderbolt. Qin Huaiyu had dragged out his father's scandal. Qin Huaqiu stood up and bowed to Duan Ruyan. All right, I know that you have a crush on me, so you imprison me. I forgive you. Duan Ruyan waved her hand. Qin Huaiyu continued. Thus, Ling Yanmei became the new Sky Phoenix Pavilion Master. Ning Roer had no place to stay in Sky Phoenix Pavilion, so she brought her daughter to find me. On the sea, she met Sect Master Yang by chance. At that time, Sect Master Yang's cultivation was very poor. He was barely a great mystic martial master. They encountered pirates and Sect Master Yang risked his life to save them. Thus, Ning Roer thought of Sect Master Yang as her younger brother. Later, Sect Master Yang went to Five Elements Hall's secret realm. As for Ning Roer, she came to my home. After seeing my daughter, I felt the pain of my sins a few years ago. I didn't dare to face her anymore. Thus, I didn't dare to marry her, and she didn't want to marry me. Qin Huaiyu narrated the journey of the two of them and his own transformation. I thought that Ning Roer and I would continue to be in a deadlock. We couldn't be together, and we would never find our own happiness. Qin Huaiyu said. Until one day, I met Miss Song Lihua. She easily pierced my heart and made me kneel before her beauty and wisdom. The more I loved her, the more I felt that I wasn't worthy of her. She knew all the ugly things I had done, but she didn't care at all. In the end, under sect master's half coercion and half push, I finally married Miss Song Lihua. Ning Roer said that as long as I didn't find happiness, she wouldn't marry. Qin Huaiyu said painfully. And I was the same. I found happiness, and it was the most beautiful happiness in the world. Then what about Ning Roer, this poor woman? If she didn't find happiness, how could I be at ease? Thus, she married sect master in the end. The beginning of Ning Ro and I was my sin. We can have a wrong beginning, but we can't have a wrong ending. Qin Huaiyu said painfully. Vulture, according to your words, Ning Roer doesn't want to marry me and can't marry sect master. Then what about her? Can she only live alone? Instantly, Vulture was speechless. Everyone present was relieved of Yang Dingtian. How could this be considered snatching a woman? This was completely fulfilling the happiness of both parties. Qin Huaiyu didn't hesitate to smear his and his father's reputation to wash Yang Dingtian's honor. Following that, Qin Huaiyu sneered. You might think that sect master married Ning Roer because he was lustful, right? Then I can tell you that sect master and Miss Yin Yenshimen have been married for 2 years, but the time they spent together was less than half a month. Sect master was outside every day, fighting for the chaotic mainland, fighting to save this world. What kind of vicious person was I in the past? Why would I be loyal to him? Do you think I'm a fool? Following that, Qin Huaiyu laughed. What's sect master's cultivation now? He's just a grandmaster,